Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're blessed and doing safe. If you are tuning in right now, you're on the hottest live stream on Thursday nights. It is Random Topic Thursdays, only on channel gboot2786. This is Gavin Reshaw with Gavin Reshaw Presents. Tonight, we will be talking about the following. Cuomo, de Blasio, and Cuomo, oh my, as well as removing gender from birth certificates, plus a whole lot of that and more. But first, we got to give a special shout out to our guest. We have on with us from YourWorld, Harvey Superboy. What's going on, Harvey?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. And of course, we have on another guest who's here always every Thursday night, the author extraordinaire, the creator of the John Haynes series. John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, as well as his latest books that you can check out on the SJS Directive or on Amazon.com. He has available those his books, including Revenge of the Cyber Goddess and John Haynes Taking Care of Business. We have on Shawn James. Shawn, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Gavin. How are you?
I'm doing fine, brothers. Doing fine. Of course, we're gonna be right back in a second. We're gonna play this music, although I'm likely to get a copyright strike only for playing my own song. But hey, I could get it removed later. But let's get started a little bit. We'll be right back, guys.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show them what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get all up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get all up and shake something up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind and fire. Turn back Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Get on the floor.
Get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor.
Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor.
Oh, gotta get on up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Gavin Reshaw Presents. It is Random Topic Thursdays here on channel G Blue 2786 on my backup channel, Gavin Reshaw, as well as Periscope if you're watching on Gavin Rich 2786. All of my Facebook family who are not here today, I'm trying to get them on to the YouTube channel more. But if you are watching, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Queen Adaya is in the building. How you doing, sweetheart? Shout out to you. I do want to, before I begin, I want to acknowledge a friend of ours who we hope to get better. And well, she's doing, I don't know about her status so far, so good. But we want to send our prayers and our thoughts to our sister, Nicole, from Nicole's View. Get well soon, sister. I know Harvey had sent out something and put a video out for her, but I wanted to tell her as well, to her and her family in particular. I know her husband is battling COVID right now. That I wish them the best of luck, and they're in my thoughts and prayers. And I'm hoping that they pull through with all of this. So, having said all of that, y'all keep them in your thoughts and prayers. All right. So, get well soon, Sister Nicole. Now, we have a few other people commenting. Of course, we have our, let's bring in our panel. We have with us tonight, Shawn James, of course, as always, author extraordinaire. And we have our brother, Harvey Superboy. First time here on the channel. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, no problem. So, guys, let us begin with what's going on in the news. I guess I'll start with this first. We were talking about what's happening right now in New York. I had put this out here. Cuomo de Blasio, and Cuomo oh my. It's just been a whole, the whole 48 hours in New York right now. I guess New York being the largest city in this country. One of the largest cities in the world. All eyes are on the city, but also the state with what's going on with Governor Andrew Cuomo and the allegations of sexual harassment that the New York Justice Department, through the Attorney General, have announced their investigation into the allegations and found all of the 11 women who have accused Cuomo of some inappropriateness, whether it's touching or saying things inappropriately. And keep in mind, they had over 100 plus witnesses, I believe, that they interviewed. They found that they were credible. The other thing also, of course, is that his brother, Chris Cuomo, who is the anchor of CNN Tonight, Uh, he is also in trouble because he was mentioned in the report as having been a part of helping his brother try to cover this up, or to at least how he can answer these allegations. And there have been calls for him to step down just as much as his brother are being fired by CNN. And we also have to talk about Mayor de Blasio, Bill de Blasio, because of his plan that he has in place where they are planning to implement, starting in September, if I'm not mistaken, a mandate that every person, if you're going to an entertainment complex, if you're going to work out at a gym, if you're going to a restaurant anywhere, that you be vaccinated or show proof of a negative test. And I'm going to start with Shawn right now because I want to ask Shawn this question. What is the feel right now in New York with everything that's going on? If you can start with de Blasio and this plan that he has. I've seen your video on it. I know that you're not a fan of Bill de Blasio in general, but what's the vibe right now in regarding his vax requirement?
The vibe in New York is very, very angry. I mean, a lot of people in New York are enraged about this whole vaccine mandate. And a lot of people were taken off guard by this because Bill de Blasio unilaterally went out here and made this mandate without consulting the city council and without even consulting even attorneys as related to it. He just went on a motion going on this mandate, talking about how he's going to put this into place without even consulting the business community. And we can clearly see ripple effects as related to the damage it has done in the short term, because here in New York, they had to cancel the New York Auto Show because the people at the Javits Center and the people who were creating the New York Auto Show were taken off guard by de Blasio's policy. And they couldn't even set up things in time to deal with his vaccine pass. And that cost the city several $1 million in travel and tourism. Right there, he was doing damage. And he's further done damage because a lot of the business owners who were suffering through the pandemic and barely getting by, they were taken off guard by de Blasio's unilateral policy. And many are saying that they're not going to support this policy because they just don't want to deal with the nightmares that they saw during the COVID era, where they had to have employees being confronted by these angry customers and having incidents like where you have people getting attacked because they were telling people to wear masks. I mean, employees getting punched in the face and assaulted. And a lot of people are scared of that running those kind of incidents, especially in the inner city areas of these fast food places. So Bill de Blasio, he did not think critically about this policy, and he didn't think about the further danger he was going to put workers in. He was just sitting there thinking, oh, I want to get these numbers up as related to jabs, but he was not really thinking critically about the safety of people in the city who have to work in these service businesses like restaurants. And he was really thinking about many of these Manhattan restaurants with these fine dining, but he didn't understand that a lot of local small businesses, they're struggling right now. A lot of them are short on workers. And again, this was not a well thought out plan. And this is a plan that really has no support from the people. And he's talking about enforcement, but he doesn't have the manpower to enforce this because our police officers have practically been demoralized. And with all the crime going on, there's not really enough cops to go deal with this type of stuff. And it's going to turn into a complete disaster. But people keep trying to tell Bill de Blasio it's going to be a disaster. I mean, even the mayor of Boston, the acting mayor of Boston, compared this to slave papers because most of the people.
Yes, she did.
Most of the people in New York who are unvaccinated are Black and minority. And this could have major devastating impact on Democrats in 2022 because a lot of Democrats, they are in a very dire situation all across the country. I mean, you have Gavin Newsom, who's in a bad place, the mayor of Minneapolis, who's in a bad place, and you have a lot of other very vulnerable areas. And your de Blasio really and Cuomo together have really not helped their party with this policy. I mean, yes, I know it's that you want to get jabs into arms in order to fight the pandemic. But this approach is something that would alienate people because your Bill de Blasio doesn't see how he's coming across like a modern day Bull Connor. And he doesn't see how a lot of people are comparing him not only to Bull Connor, like I did, and how the mayor of Boston compared him to the slave bosses, to the slave master, but other people are comparing him to Adolf Hitler because he unilaterally decides to go into this policy and he doesn't see the long-term damage he's doing not only to the city's economy, but he's not only seeing the damage he's doing to his own party because this type of thing, yes, in the short term, you might get a few jabs in the arms, but the alienation of the public could turn the people away from this Democratic Party the same way people were turned away in 1994 after multiple scandals during the first year of Bill Clinton's term, where all those things led to the complete bloodbath of 1994.
Right. So let me ask you something though. With the pandemic going on, since you're in New York, how do you keep yourself safe? Because you stated before you don't plan on getting the jab, and there's an uptick in the Delta variant that doesn't concern you.
Well, there's not much I can do really. I mean, I put my mask on when I go into stores, but I've had COVID-19 already, and the symptoms were mild. I mean, my whole family had COVID over the time of the first lockdown, and there was really nothing I could do about it. I mean, the whole thing is, I look at COVID as, yes, it's a very tragic thing, but the whole thing is that some things they are beyond anybody's control. And I mean, if you have natural immunity, there's no really, I mean, I know some people want to have that extra layer of security, but the whole thing is that there's not much you can do, especially in the Black community, with these fears people have as related to the Tuskegee experiment. And what's happening here with Bill de Blasio is he's actually exacerbating more of those fears because when you're trying to coerce people, that's not a way to build trust. And if you can't build trust with people, especially in communities like the Black community, which have been violated for so many years by policies made by Democrats like those in the Jim Crow South, this doesn't really help us in the long term. If this vaccine is safe and effective, what you have to do is build trust, and going out here threatening and intimidating people in a way similar to those approaches used by Bull Connor, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Nazi Party, this doesn't really give people much interest in going to see your side. And this is something many New Yorkers have tried to tell your Bill de Blasio and Democrats, but it seems like they have 10 ears and refuse to listen.
All right, Harvey Superboy, let me get your opinion if you could on this.
Well, I have to agree with Shawn. You know, it's a way you can do things that are good, and there's ways you can do things that are bad. And I mean, personally, for me, I did get the shot, and I got it because of my injuries when I was in combat. And you guys, you hear me when I do videos, I cough. In my videos, it's caused a bronchial thing, and I didn't want to take the risk. So I've never pushed my my view on anybody. I just say it's up to you, especially being in the Black community, considering, like Shawn said, with the Tuskegee experiments and all these other things. So I get why in our community that we're hesitant or suspicious of it. But you have another side. We have people are pandering politically to a mindset because they don't want to give the other side a win as they see it. And what Mayor de Blasio is doing is playing right into their hand. You know, he's taking away your ability to choose. Me personally, if you don't want to get the shot, mask up or keep your distance until you're able to, till we get this under control. But right now, forcing people, you're going to hurt small businesses more than anything. This
Right.
is why in Chicago, and I can speak for the Chicago area, the mayor, she's very careful about, you know, telling people we're going to mandate this. Now, the governor came out, I think it was yesterday, he started saying we're going to mandate things like in nursing homes, hospitals, places where, you know, diseases do, you know, spread. But the thing is, small business is going to get hurt in this one. But I did predict this last year, into the beginning of the year, that I said they're going to start mandating these shots. I saw it coming because it's too much money to be lost now, because it's time for the kids to go back to school. And you got a lot of people who are not making any money, who own property. They're getting evicted. they're going to foreclosure. So it's a domino effect. So it's very nuanced, but at the same time, these politicians have to be extremely careful what they're doing, because right now, let's just be honest, they're thinking about the areas like your downtown Chicago or your Manhattans where the people spend all the money at. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about the poor or struggling communities, because the poor worker, let me rephrase that, the working class worker is going to catch hell more than anybody. Because the moment you say to somebody going to a fast food restaurant, you have to put a mask on, they're going to take out their employee. They're not going to think about the corporate office. They're not going to think about the city council or the alderman or the mayor or the governor. The people at the ground level catch him more than anything.
Right. And well, let me tell you what's going on in New Orleans. We have a mask mandate that's put back into effect. And what's going on here, certain businesses, especially in the CBD, because New Orleans makes its money off tourism. It's a tourist town. Particular people go downtown and to the warehouse district up into Bourbon Street and so forth in the French Quarter. And they go and get their, they go get their party on because it's a party city. But now these bars have implemented restrictive rules where you either have to show a COVID-19 testing where it's negative, or you have to be vaccinated. I went to a certain club yesterday and I wanted to get on stage and they would not let me go on because I didn't have my vax card. I could sit in if I wanted to, but I had to mask up or whatever. I was like, no, I didn't want to do that. And I think they should have given fair warning about it, but that's neither here nor there. Now, businesses, yes, you would think they have a right to do whatever they want with, which is true, but sometimes they don't have a right to do whatever they want either. And we as the consumers, you also have the right to take your money and go somewhere else if you choose to. But I knew, and I can see the writing on the wall just in general about what's going on. Torian Rain brought this up where you're going to eventually, and I hate to say this, but this country is going to be pushed into possibly another civil war where you're going to have the nay or the yay. I'm trying to be careful with my words because we're going to have to just speak in code, because even if, as I do this channel now and this video and live stream, there's a possibility I could have this channel, I could have this video taken down based off of misinformation, what they say is medical misinformation, even though I'm reading directly from what we see in the notes and I'm from the news and I'm giving my opinion. But that just tells you the direction that we are in this country. I think there's a personal choice that people have to make in regards to it, like Harvey said, if they want to get that or not. And I know really trying to file lawsuits and stuff like that as a lawyer, there's a possibility it wouldn't go anywhere just because, I don't think as Dwan B would say, the unwhoop-de-womp versus the whoop-de-womp is necessarily a protected class. But people will not tolerate this. And I can tell you election season is going to be upon us next year. I'm pretty sure, Shawn, the Republicans up there in New York are licking their chops right now.
Yeah, they're quite hungry.
And Cuomo. You mentioned HIPAA law. The HIPAA protects you only from what HIPAA basically does. That is a law that means that the officials in hospitals and so forth can't disclose your information without your permission. That's what that essentially means. It's not necessarily the same thing when you go in a private establishment, but it's something a little bit different. But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about, though, with this thing with Cuomo that's going on, and I heard Harvey snickering right there. Of course, there's calls for him to step down. He has remained adamant that he will not be stepping down. And what's interesting, a lot of people don't know this, but the Attorney General who released this report I believe she was with the party, and Shawn, you can correct me. You're familiar with Latita James was with the Americans for Families party up there in New York that excuse me, not Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo had a beef with. And from what I was reading and researching, he actually tried to destroy this party, and Latita James wanted to be Attorney General, so he made a deal with her and he backed her. Actually, and she was a part of this group, and she gets elected as AG of New York, and then all of a sudden, I guess he was probably under the impression when we hear all of these allegations coming out, he decides that he wanted everybody to wait until the AG makes her decision, or wait till the investigation took place. And we do so. These were his words, right? He said, "We will wait till the investigation takes place." And it comes out. She says, "No, you did this." And now he's stating adamantly he will not step down, even though the president of the United States has called for him to step down. And let's not forget, President Biden has been accused of stuff too. That they didn't talk about it a lot during the campaign because that's what the Dems wanted. Then we had the situation though too with Andrew Cuomo, his brother Chris Cuomo, who basically, I think at this point when you watch CNN, he should just come out and CNN as a network should just say we're mascots for the Democratic Party because that's everything that they push. They don't push as a news media, as a news network. They are not unbiased in their opinion. They are completely biased. Just I would say the same thing as Fox News. But news is supposed to be unbiased and impartial when it does its reporting, and they're not. So it's clearly you have that aspect of it. But he was moonlighting as an advisor to the governor, who was his brother, and he has been criticized. They talked about even the female anchors have not said, the primetime hosts from Anna Cabrera to Pamela Brown, Dana Bash that they mentioned, they've been silent. CNN has been silent. And Cuomo even said when he made that he attempted to assist his brother was a mistake and that was a problem for CNN. But he also added, "I am family first, job second." So I guess, Harvey, let me start with you. I saw your video as well on the Cuomo brothers. You said they should go somewhere. I'm sure your answer will be no different from what you stated in your video.
Yeah, I first of all, I think that Governor Cuomo is arrogant. I mean, he already was in trouble about with the COVID deaths and everything.
Right.
But instead of him saying, "Okay, you know what? I was accused of this. I didn't do it. Let them do an investigation." He kept trying to pander to the Black community, And then years ago, when other politicians, mostly Black, would catch hell, he had some smarts that you need to step down for the betterment of the party and stuff like that. And then I'm watching Joe Biden, these other politicians say you need to step down. I'm like, why didn't you guys follow your own words? You know what I mean? So it's a lot of BS in the Democrats. But my thing is that his brother, more so his brother's full of it because he used his position in the media to give his brother cover. Because if you notice, CNN really haven't covered that story like it's supposed to.
No, they have not.
And the thing is, he had the nerve to sit there and question Mr. Cosby's lawyer. Yeah. Remember, CNN helped destroy Bill Cosby's legacy. And right. Here it is. There was hearsay with Bill Cosby. You actually got video. You got him touching people. You have women that works in his administration saying that he was doing this. And the video I saw him put out was cringeworthy. I do this with Black people. I do this with gay people. This is a part of my family. Yeah, but we know for like the last 30 years it's about sexual harassment. Keep your hands to yourself. You would think about all the guys that have been accused the last 6 years or so, you'd think he would pull back. Right. And knowing that these young women are easy to be triggered. You know, and I don't. It just my thing is CNN need to be held accountable because you have no problem putting our mug shots up, spreading misinformation about us, talking about we're guilty. What about the victims? And the women of CNN are full of it. A lot of these white women are CNN are full of it. There have been, like in an article, they've been silent. So right now, Fox is looking like they, they got the upper hand saying, how you going to sit back and tell us about Donald Trump and these other people? And you got a news network that's been around 40-something years won't follow your own advice. But it's time for the Cuomo brothers to go. And I believe this is karma. Because all the stuff they didn't say over the years about people, about other men, and now the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah. Shawn?
Yeah, I definitely believe it is a case of reap what you sow. And in the case of Andrew Cuomo, like Harvey said, he's extremely arrogant to be this defiant in the face of all of these calls, even from the president of the United States, to resign and still say he's going to stay in office. I can tell you as a New Yorker, nobody wants Andrew Cuomo as governor anymore. They didn't even want him as governor during the pandemic because they were just tired of his hubris and him deciding to stay defiant in the face of things. This is something that's going to do serious damage to the Democrats, who already, again, are dealing with problems with your Gavin Newsom in California, who I believe will get recalled. And that'll be another death blow for the Democrats. And another blow is what's happening with the mayor of Minneapolis, who's running from there. I think his name is James Fry. And Andrew Cuomo's defiance makes him a poster boy for the right to go out here and say that, we told you that these Democrats were going to be a problem. You were sitting there saying Donald Trump was this big time racist, and he is a very racist. I'm not going to lie, but this guy, his arrogance, it's just egregious right here. Here he is. He's been caught and proven to be a sexual harasser by I believe, objective report, because 11 women coming forward and having evidence. This proves that this happened. And that's something that just, again, shows his arrogance and his hubris to sit there and say, oh, I'm going to stay here as governor. And again, this is not a good look for the party optically. You have one guy who's really making your party look bad. You have midterm elections coming up. And the longer he stays in office, the more damage he does to the party. And a lot of these people don't really see the damage this man is doing because he just refuses to just walk away. I mean, Elliot Spitzer here in New York, once he got caught with the prostitutes, he wound up resigning. But this man who participates in a similar crime does not resign. And even worse, I still hold him accountable for what happened to all those COVID patients. I mean, the Justice Department didn't want to say anything about it, but there needed to be something done about that because so many people lost their lives all because of his grudge against Donald Trump. I mean, we had the USNS Comfort there, and it should have been about helping those people, but he just wanted to rack up the death count. And again, that's just one of the most unethical things I have ever seen. Right. Now, when it comes down to Chris Cuomo, this is a complete betrayal of what a journalist is supposed to do. A journalist is supposed to be fair and objective. A journalist is supposed to present the facts. And when you have a journalist compromising himself the way Chris Cuomo has with CNN, that really shows that there's a serious ethics problem at CNN. Because when I look at CNN's articles and media, it's pure propaganda at this point. And it's clear to me that a lot of these people still are in their emotions about Donald Trump, and they're about protecting the left. And that's not what a good journalist does. And that's not what a good media site that presents news does. No, a good media site that presents news presents the facts, whether they be good or bad about an individual. And if your Chris Cuomo is giving cover to Andrew Cuomo on that platform, then he needs to be terminated because that's not what journalists do. But I see that CNN, like Fox News, has a bad case of what I call a Trump obsession. And like Fox on the right was obsessed with Trump as related to trying to cover for Donald Trump. CNN was obsessed with demonizing Donald Trump. And they instead, because both of them have tunnel vision and no real clear objective insight, what we get is biased stories from both sides. And that doesn't really help the American people make good choices as related to news. And again, with Chris Cuomo, again, clearly participating in a cover-up. He is of no use to CNN, and I believe that they need to get rid of a lot of people at CNN besides Chris Cuomo, because there's a culture at CNN that is pro-left. And if you're going to be pro-left, you're not a news channel, you're a propaganda channel. And if it's propaganda, then I have no use for watching it.
Well, let me say this. You're absolutely right. It is propaganda at this point. That's what it's always been. Essentially, you know, CNN has had no credibility, I think, since Bernard Shaw, and that was a long time ago. And I don't even remember Bernard Shaw.
I remember Bernard Shaw. That was Gulf War of '91 or something like that.
Well, even they got caught. Even CNN got caught fabricating stuff with the fake alarms and so forth, and helmets, masks. You can find that online. But let me say this, just as a general rule, as a lawyer. I believe in the presumption of innocence, no matter what. He is still presumed. We have to be careful as the governor. Andrew Cuomo is still presumed innocent until proven guilty. Although the accusations are alarming, I'm gonna do it like they did Bill Cosby. The accusations are alarming. Now they're just accusations, but the New York Attorney General, she's found them to be credible. Now, what was interesting when I listened to a press conference, I don't know if you saw this part, but I read this, was that she said, and her exact words were, "I believe women and I believe these women." Now, that's important to remember, because as a AG, and this is a problem I have too with this movement, with this Me Too and Time's Up movement, is that you cannot just believe an accusation just based off the gender of a person. It has to be based off what the evidence is. And that is key when I was listening to it. And that was something that I rang off alarm bells with when I heard it. Now, I think this is also something where it's coming back to bite Cuomo, because he brought this AG in. And correct me if I'm wrong, Shawn, she was with the Americans for Families party that Cuomo had issues with. I don't know if you were following the politics with that in New York.
Well, I haven't followed it that deep, but I do remember Andrew Cuomo telling people to believe women, and now that's blown up on his face.
It has blown up in his face. He did say that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I would just say, I'm like this. Innocent to proven guilty, but my thing is that only for certain people? Because it seems to me like the Cuomo brothers, I should say, CNN, them have no problem saying that believe the victims and paint us, whether we're famous or not, as guilty. Now they want us to have the suspension of disbelief that these women can be lying. And very well, these women can be lying, because I hate to say this, there are women who do lie about these things.
Oh, of course. I won't name names, but I'll give you a story. I knew of someone, a good friend of mine, who was out who was with another person. They didn't have a sexual relationship to my knowledge, but it was flirtatious. And this said person made a move on this person, and nothing was said, nothing was went off with it. A couple of days later, he gets a phone call. You know, the certain police department says that you touched someone inappropriately. And it's like, what? But then they had to later. That person dropped the charges, and she was apologetic to him. He was like, you know what, forget it, because you could have ruined my life and my reputation. So that stuff does happen. And sexual harassment. Let me just tell you in general, Harvey. I just say innocent till proven guilty. Just being a lawyer, because I believe in due process.
No, I understand. I respect that, and I agree with you. It's just that it seemed to me the last 30 years, or more so the last 12 years, that a lot of black males, young and old, have been perk walked in front of the media. Right. And they've been determined guilt. Believe all the victims, even if the stories are inconsistent or slap the people in the face, historically. I mean, let's think about it. And I hate to keep going back to Bill Cosby. It was just the most recent. Sure. 1960s America, a black man supposed to have done all those things and then say he was powerful. I'm like, we had our so-called first black president. He had that kind of juice. So it's a suspension of disbelief. And then today you fast forward and then believe all women when we know that men and women in the workforce flirt with each other, talk nasty to each other. Because I remember being at work, there were women with more raunchier than the guys. You know, there are women with create situations. Today, if I was in my 20s, I would be afraid to go to work, to be honest with you. Because you don't know at any moment somebody will say you violated my space by looking at me with your eyes, or you said good morning. When you said good morning, it was intent for sex. Because now I don't even say anything to women too much anymore. I don't even go on dates that much anymore because you don't know what's in their mind because they see dollar signs.
Right. Henry Cavill even said that. He's Superman. He said dating has been hard because of the Me Too thing. He's like, he was apprehensive of doing it. I know he's got a girlfriend now, but you know, you can be a lick. But you know, sexual harassment, all that means, and I joke about it, it means I would do it with you, but because I don't find you attractive, I'm filing a complaint. That's essentially what it means. But because look, there are people who like when we talked about Cosby, though, these groupies that go up to these men because they know that it can advance their careers. There are men who abuse their power. That's true in the workforce to get some from girls, and we can't have anything like that. But you know, sexual harassment by law, it can be something where you don't even intend to do it. If you compliment a woman on how good they look, that can be considered, even if your intent is not, you know, to be malicious in any way, shape, or form. That still could be considered harassment. Doesn't matter whether you meant to do it or not. They look at it like you you violated her space, and that's this person's space. And men get harassed too. That happens in the workforce as well. It's not something that I think a lot of men talk about because you know how we would look. We couldn't take a woman hitting on us. You know that. Because men, we don't get hit on like talking about it. Like there are certain ages and so forth. We don't get hit on like that. Men do the flirting, but some women do it too. So from time to time, and it's rare, and you know I like it. But you got to be careful, and you got to be more mindful. Even if you kissing someone on the cheek, even though you don't mean it in a sexual way, you know. I almost had a situation, not at work, but like that. But I wasn't trying to do it out of a sexual nature. It was more like a greeting to a person, and and it almost got to the point where it was just by accident. I almost kissed her on the lips, which I wasn't trying to do, but we got that. But the impression that she thought was I was trying to force a kiss on her, or I was coming in for a kiss. I was like, oh no, I didn't mean that. I tried to clarify it, and you know, we did eventually. I talked to the guy when I was getting off stage about it because he saw it, and I explained what happened. I said, "Look, if you try to put me on some Me Too shit, that's not the case, bro. I wasn't doing that." But you know, I explained it. I said, "Look, if you want me to go talk to him, I'll go talk to him and say, look, that's not what my intents were. I apologize, whatever." He said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll explain it to him." And I walked off. I was like, okay. But I'm more mindful now and cautious because if I'm, you know, outperforming or if I'm outdoing, if there are females around me, especially those who don't look like me, you know what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really do it. I just say, "Hey, how you doing?" and wave or dap them, you know, maybe just finger bump them, fist bump them, and that's it. I was about to say finger. No, not finger. Fist. Excuse me. No, that's that fist bumping like this. No, but I don't do. But no, I'm mindful of that now. So it's made you more cautious. And you know what's interesting? Some women are even been complaining about the Me Too movement, right, Shawn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have been complaining. I've heard
because they don't get flirted on.
Yeah, but guys have too much to lose these days. I mean, one allegation these days, according to certain states, can get you locked up, and that's why guys aren't approaching.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you really think about how scary it is, somebody in your past that you barely knew or barely remember can say, oh, 1991, you touched me inappropriately, or you said something, your whole life is destroyed.
Yep.
And people, and I mean, you know, I don't know if you guys saw, they did a special with Mike Tyson on ABC maybe about a month or so ago.
Right, I saw that.
And if you watch from start to finish, they was implying that he was a sexual predator. And I don't know if Mike was really paying attention, but you have to be careful nowadays as a man, especially a black man, when they try to paint you as a sexual predator, because once you get accused, whether you did or not, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, just the accusation enough. Just the accusation enough is enough. Queen Adaya said her comments are being removed. Mods, is that true? Y'all look out for her, please. I don't know what's going on. I'm not removing any comments, but it's probably ScrewTube. But I mean, she hasn't said, Queen, you haven't said anything that would get your comments removed from what I've been looking at. So I don't know what's going on. I can still see your comments. But yeah, what I was gonna say, okay, they're saying nothing's been removed. It might be on her other channel. The backup channel. If y'all can check for me. Let me know. Might be the Google mods.
It's Google. Trust me, believe
Yeah.
me. I've been meaning to make a video about that because there have been people come to my channel and say, "Hey, I put comments up and they disappear." I can see comments pop up, in the comment section. I read them. If I click to something else, it's like they disappeared.
Yeah, I've had that happen on my channel too. I've had viewers tell me they would drop a comment and then the comment would disappear. So Google is doing this type of
Google
stuff.
owns YouTube.
Yeah,
So
Google's been deleting comments, and even during my live streams, if I speak about certain topics, they will slow my stream down. So that's happened not only to me, but it also happened to another YouTuber called Mad Voodoo Man, the Iceman. He was doing a live, and he was talking about Lil Nas X, and they just practically slowed his stream to the point where he couldn't even keep it going.
Well, you know what? I've noticed something. A lot of us, we talk about these topics before everybody else do, and you have a lot of popular YouTube channels that are non-black identified. They watch our channels, and because they get higher viewership, they feel that we're taking some of their viewers away from them. Because I know a YouTube, I won't mention his name. He hooked me up on it years ago, and I found out. Well, I would say their name, the Young Turks. They watch our videos, our commentaries. So one day I was sitting like, it's somebody now, I got these euphemisms. I say control your dollar, know your hits, well, however I say it. And somebody said something similar, like, why does that sound so damn familiar? And I started watching. That's why you often hear me say, study the patterns, watch what they do, because they don't want us on network television. They don't want us on cable television unless we align up with the producers and the corporations say. And they don't want us on social media. They don't want us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And then we try to do our own thing. They mess it up.
Yeah, that has happened with me. I mean, I get hit with I've been hit with several, like I talked about, I get copyright strikes for my own song, although I think that's an automatic thing, not so much YouTube, but more with my record company, because when they hear it automatically, as you know, songs have certain content in it that they can track automatically. But Vlad TV, I'm going to mention him. The Culture Vulture hit me with a copyright strike for that political ad that I showed when Shawn was on here. I had Al Lanier on and I had Andrew Jones on, and we showed the video of that ad that Kevin Steele did on Bill Cosby when he was running for district attorney of Montgomery County. And they hit me with a copyright strike over it, claimed by, I saw Complex Networks. And I said, wait, what's going on with this? This was up 6 years ago. What copyright does he have over that when he didn't create it?
Well, it's about
Strike on my channel.
mhm. Well, it's about keeping our views down. Because you notice,
Yeah.
and I can speak from firsthand experience that I've done like 7 or 8 YouTube channels. As soon as they get to another number, wham, they take it down. Now I can't. Well, I probably talk to you guys offline about what's going on, but they just put it like this: people are watching.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of our viewers, they realize that we have our opinions. We're not always going to get it right. We're not perfect, but we're come across more newsworthy than the actual networks. They have the income.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I enjoy watching Shawn because there's things that Shawn put out, things that you put out, things that Nicole and Phil Scott put out that a lot of us don't think about. Because I think that we're tired of being fed propaganda. And I think based off our daily experiences as Black Americans, we know when we're being played. So we don't feel like doing that with our viewers. That's why we have loyal viewers. That's why people will come listen to us. You know, I mispronounce a word or give an incorrect date, but when I make a mistake, I turn and say, hey, my bad. The news don't do that. They just keep piling on as if that you're not paying attention, and they hope to God that you never bring it back up again.
Right. We're more reliable than even our so-called Black news network. But really, who here wants to watch Swollen Martin talk about the voting and so forth? Beep, beep, beep. Y'all fools who don't vote. Beep, beep, beep. Nobody wants to hear that or see him on Moist Lamont Hill. But Judge, but Judge, it's sexual judge. Nobody wants to see that. That DNC network, that's a joke.
Yeah,
That's
and keep begging for sponsors. If they're not coming, and that to me, that's when you know you something wrong with you.
Are you
When
talking
you
about
see,
Roland?
yeah, they not giving us Black dollars. I mean, they're white dollars. No, you cultivate your own community, your own audience. Stop looking for because once they start giving you money, they control you.
Well, I saw Phil has a video out, audio out now. He has, a lot of these people who, and I'm not attacking. I know you voted for Joe Biden, Harvey, and I'm not attacking people that did. It is what it is. But there are a lot of people, especially the Blacks, who I'm talking about people in Congressional Black Caucus and other people across the country, Blacks around the country, who have buyer's remorse with regards to this. And and because Roland thought he was going to get that job, I guess get back and be the deputy press secretary. Next question, he didn't get that. So that's just how Simone Sanders was when she talked about how she was hurt that she didn't get promoted to that secretary position, and they gave it to that white girl. I can't think of her name, Pasaki. Yeah. So she was upset about it. But it goes to show you that, there's no grace in Coonan.
Well, I want to say this. When I voted for Biden, it wasn't that I thought he was going to be a better president. It was because of this COVID thing, and I was losing friends and family members. That's why when people say that to me, I don't get offended because I was open with everybody about why I was voting for him. But no, you guys are right. I mean, I wasn't under the illusion that Biden would do anything better for us.
Biden is actually more racist than Trump. Look at him.
You know what? They both. Trump he verbalized his.
Trump is I've had Judge Joe Brown come on, and Judge actually supported him. He said, I don't mind somebody speaking or talking a certain way, but he said I would never vote for Biden because he remembered when Biden was hanging out with Strom Thurmond and Roy Farbus and James Eastland and John B. Stennis. Those were the two men who were the senators of Mississippi, respectively, when Medgar Evers was assassinated. And you had the 3 civil rights workers and so forth. And these were his mentors and his crime bills, because it wasn't just one crime bill. He had several that impacted the community, the Black community. So he would never support Joe Biden. And, a lot of Black men, too, they voted for Trump because they were tired. It's just like this thing with the when they had Juvenile do the vax that thing up, and then the next it was similar to that get your booty to the polls where they had those strippers come out and throwing ballots in there to get black men to vote. Like, you think that you spreading your legs? How's a stripper gonna give me, who a brother like me who has 2 degrees, political advice, career advice? Not disrespecting those that climb on the pole, but there ain't a damn thing you could tell me or convince me to go out and vote that I gotta vote Democrat just because you showing your ass out. And some of those, I've heard that some of those weren't women in that video.
Nowadays, you never know. Nowadays,
I've heard that, but it was disrespectful, and that was the point. It's like you pandering. You can't come with me with issues that I want to discuss so that I can make my life and my community's life better. You want to use sex to get me, and you don't do that with other groups. Let them try to do that with Arabs.
they're not going to do that.
No,
well, I tell you this. What rubbed me the wrong way is the whole Asian hate crime bill, because I always thought the hate crime bill was entitled to everybody. They have a separate hate crime bill that he quickly signed, but you can't get peace reform done. You got right now they trying to take us back to the 1950s as far as voting. And you don't want to get rid of filibuster. And like Shawn said earlier, the Democrats are going to give this to the Republicans. And you know what? If they win, hey, it is what it is, because you gave people opportunity to say they're going to come in and right the ship. I mean, it's not a perfect thing, but okay, they're not going to do what we did the prior 4 years. But now it's like the Democrats is basically telling black votes, you guys in for these 4 years. We're going to do whatever we're going to do for us. Be down with y'all. And at some point, we as a community have to believe in each other. And like I say, control our dollar and put our own candidates forward, or we're going to have to do that tough love. Like, we're just going to bite our tongue for the next 2 to 4 years and just wait to, like the other communities have done over the years, and, you know, plan ahead and then come out and control them with the dollars. Because I'm gonna tell you something, they don't mess the gay community. The gay community got everybody spooked nowadays. Just like the Jewish community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community. We're the only ones who haven't called on to it. But
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, they have definitely taken the black vote for granted. I mean, I look at de Blasio's whole I'm gonna say jab policy that he's implementing. It's going to affect blacks more than anybody else, but they just act like they don't care about the black votes. I mean, the black vote was the one that gave the Democrats the presidency. It gave them the Senate and the majority that they have in both houses. And what are black people getting for actually making Joe Biden president, giving them the Congress and the Senate? I mean, we've gotten no tangibles whatsoever. And instead of trying to reach out, they just continue to attack us. And that's going to eventually, again, not going to really benefit them in, I believe, 2022. And they're going to really start to feel that, because you're taking people for granted. And this was the mistake that Hillary made in 2016. She took the black vote for granted, and they still continue to take the black vote for granted. And they still think that they can just roll over and steamroll black people. And I believe there's a breaking point coming, because with new black media giving people the other side, we're seeing more and more black people talking about walking away from this party. And I was reading a Yahoo article that said that Biden knows he's in trouble with other minorities, so they know that they're on thin ice, but they keep pushing, not understanding that eventually you're going to hit a breaking point, and we may see a 1994 style bloodbath.
Yeah.
And you know what they're hoping, Shawn, is that we come at the last minute like we always do and say party, because they figure even though you're putting these voter restrictions in, blacks will get out there and say, well, my feet's tied, but I'm going to go and vote. Nah, apathy is set in, because, you know, like in my commentaries, I tell people, you know, we can be angry, but this started during the Obama years. A lot of this stuff that we catch hell for is because of 2008 and in 2012. And they said we're not gonna let them know. That's why they've been attacking Kamala Harris. She thought she's gonna come in and have it easy. And they already
quiet. You know,
yeah, they going after already. They people in her own cabinet is attacking her. You know, so they're gonna say, nah, y'all got one, you're gonna get another one. And so now, and you have, I can speak in Chicago, you have the Hispanic coalition going after Mayor Lightfoot big time. They thought when they got a lesbian black mayor, they thought it was going to be somebody they could control. When they realized that she was down for the community, you've heard nothing but negative stuff across the country. They got a meme about her every time you turn around. And I keep telling people within my family or my community, you guys got to stop paying attention to what's going on locally. You get focused on that national politics, you're going to get played every time. Everybody keep talking about Donald Trump. He ain't going to run again. He knows he'll lose more trying to run again than just being out of office. He's a power broker now. You see what I'm saying? The thing is that the people who control everything is the Congress and Senate. That's who set all the rules up. And we haven't learned that yet. So, like I said, the Congressional Black Caucus, all in there, joke.
Again.
Pardon me?
I believe he'll run again.
You think
I
so?
don't think he's going to run again because as a power broker, he can build a candidate, and that candidate, he can get control of the candidate. So that's where he's got
He may not run as a Republican, but I think, this is me, I think he will run again because Biden right now at this point, I don't even think Biden will last. This is just me. I don't think Biden's going to last his term.
I said the same thing too.
And you have Kamala Harris, who nobody, trust me, nobody wants her as president at all because the people, the right wing, of course, wouldn't want her, but the Dems, they want her because, certain members in the Democratic Party just want a female president. They want to get that notion in, like Judge says, but it would go downhill based off of her track record if she became president of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in the United States. So I think if he does run again, I think he would win this time. That's my opinion. I know some people may disagree with it, but he may run as and people don't know this about Trump. He's actually an independent. He was originally a Democrat at some point, but he switched to Republicans and so forth. And he switched to Republicans so he could get on the ticket. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You might have an independent. He was really the last independent president, technically, although I know he was a Republican that we've had in a long time. And honestly, these political parties, let me tell you what needs to happen. I think that, and Jesse Ventura said this, we should vote on ideologies, not parties. He talked about abolishing Democrat and Republican. I don't know if that's going to go that far because those groups have money. But, honestly, I'm tired of voting Democrat and Republican because they're both wings on the same bird. They keep doing the same crap and keep repeating the same stuff over and over again, and they don't get any results. Look at what they're doing in New York, where Shawn is, Harvey. They want to give $15,000 to illegal immigrants.
Oh, don't get me started. What's going on here in Illinois?
Yeah.
Driver's license. They're giving money for housing and businesses. I'm like, what about those of us who've been here for years who have struggled with business? Like, I still say Black America should be upset if your home state is legalizing marijuana and you're not getting the majority of them licenses. You should raise holy hell about that. Right.
Look how hard they had to fight to give people just $1,200, $1,500, American families that they know how much they have. And you giving illegals this money. You're talking about initiating vaccine mandates and being restricted with COVID, but yet you got open borders. You're allowing free access to other people to come in this country, and you're not even checking. They don't even check them for COVID.
But what gets me is the same people that do this turn around and complain about, they coming over the border. First of all, a lot of them are coming over by plane. They coming right to JFK and O'Hare and Reagan International. You know what I mean? So, when people talk about the illegals, those of us whose families been here 80 or more years, or descendants of slaves, because if you're a Black American, we could trace our lineage back to slavery. We should say, wait a minute, how can somebody come over here who barely know the language, can get government set-asides, open a business and be successful at it? I mean, think about it. If you go to the gas station, you got people got franchises with Shell and BP, Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, wait a minute. I could have sworn we made those companies very successful. Maybe it's time that we stop spending our money with these companies, because if Black America stopped spending money for 6 months, this economy would tank.
And we may just see that in New York if this vaccine mandate goes through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those Black communities, a lot of those foreign restaurants, they get most of their money from Black dollars.
They said I can't say ADOS. I do believe in ADOS. I never
Black America.
Some people, and I want to say this to people, I may not use buzzwords or terms to describe anything, but I'm pro-Black American. I'm pro-Black business. I'm pro-Black education. Do you actually think I'll be doing these videos for the last 11 years if I didn't give a damn about our people? You know what I mean? It just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on there. When I saw that, people assume they know what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm concerned about our people. I'm concerned about our young brothers and sisters being miseducated, because it's painful to see some of the stuff going on, like with the baby thing. Stop apologizing. Stop.
Yeah. Man up, man.
Yeah.
At least Kevin Hart apologized once, and when they wanted him to keep doing it, he said, no, for the last time. I've already said this, I'm not going back. He really had nothing to apologize for. He was telling jokes. The stand-up stage is sacred. We say what's on our minds, whether you like it or not. Now, if it goes over well, great. If not, we bomb. That's what happens. So what Kevin Hart was doing, he told some jokes from 2009 or 2005 or whatever it was, and they got mad with him over the gay jokes, just like they did Tracy Morgan and Tina Fey. I remember Tina Fey coming out attacking him, talking about he should apologize for it. But yeah, you can't expect anybody to be a man with a name like the Baby.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to attack a entire age group. I'm not saying, because I'm a part of the Gen X generation. I remember back when I was a kid, they were talking about we would be the generation and lead everybody into the new world where everybody lives in peace and harmony. That didn't work out great either. So, and now we expecting this generation to do it, but this generation has been brought on TV and certain images. They're twisted, because to be honest with you, Kevin Hart, he's a certain age. He said what he said, and he kept moving. Tracy Morgan, he just was so excited to be seen on a regular basis. That's why he was gripping so hard. It looked very pathetic. Because I never forget you had Joy Behar said, stop apologizing. You had a white woman said, stop doing it. It makes you look weak. That's sad when a white woman is going to tell a black man, stop, move on. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. Cuomo is related to the Kennedys by marriage. His ex-wife was Bobby Kennedy's daughter.
Wow. I'm not surprised. These politicians married to different people, and the Kennedy family, they married to somebody, connected to somebody somewhere in the United States.
Yeah. Well, the Bush family is worse.
Did you see what happened to George Bush's nephew was pandering to the Trump voter, and she thought that he was going to get Trump support, and Donald Trump said, nope, not going to support you. He looked like a fool.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, man, it was embarrassing.
Trump was trying to get support from the Bushes?
No, George Bush, I forget which, okay, it's George Bush nephew, one of his what's his brother that was the governor, Jeb Bush. His son was in Texas trying to run for some position. So he thought he would pander to Donald Trump and the Donald Trump voters and thought Donald Trump would annoy him. Donald Trump not going to do that. And he went and picked somebody else, but the one Trump picked lost over in Texas somewhere. So it's hilarious how everybody's pandering. But the Kennedy family, I guess this is Bobby Kennedy's daughter looking at this right here.
That's Bobby's daughter, Hall.
Yeah, I figured, because how many Bobby kids he has? About 12?
Yeah, about 11.
Yeah, I mean, who not they related to,
Yeah, who they're not related to. Uh, you know, like I said, because I'm trying to mince my words, but the Kennedy family basically they rivaled. You know, that Bush family. It all started with was it who was the daddy? The patriot,
Prescott,
Joe Kennedy.
Joe Kennedy, yeah, the
Joe, supposed the rum runner, supposedly. He was
oh,
a
he was that.
yeah.
I'm
Well, they
sorry, I
tried
mean,
to say that. Well, no, they tried to say that he wasn't a rum runner and that he made his money in investments as a investor and stuff like that. But people that know the truth know other. People know otherwise. But yeah, but the Kennedy family, you know, they've been tied and locked down for a long time in politics and dead and stuff. But uh, let's see. Somebody asked me a question. What was worse? Honestly, well, since we're talking about the 1960s, the whole breakup of the family is where all this stuff started in the 1960s. That they're all bad. When you started to have at will divorce and taking the dads out of the home, you changed laws. We changed laws in regards to abortion and so forth. This is the breakup of a nuclear family. It has impacted this country because the family unit is starts first. You know, your parents are the first people you learn from, and when you don't have, you know, your mother and father, there's a void. This is my opinion. Uh, but just from research that I've seen, yeah, you're correct. It was Prescott Bush was the one who was the Bush family patriarch, and Joe Kennedy was the Kennedy family patriarch. But y'all should look up and read some there's a book I think was called Bush Family Secrets. If I'm not mistaken, y'all should check that out. And especially y'all should do some research into the Kennedy assassination because the former president is mentioned in that one of those documents that were declassified.
CIA and all that, yeah. Because he was still getting, actually, even before he died, he was still getting briefings.
Yeah,
The presidents, they still, people don't know that Barack Obama, all of them, they still get Secret Service, CIA briefings and stuff. They go into conference like right now, even though Jimmy Carter is in frail age, they still seek out his advice because when you're the president, you're told or privy to certain information, and a lot of people don't know that. And I was reading one of the comments about the Kennedy family. Don't buy into that Camelot BS. Trust me, they from Boston. Them Boston Kennedys, they didn't like us too much. Remember, it was J. Edgar Hoover got permission for Bobby Kennedy to wiretap Malcolm X and Dr. King.
Well, if you look at some of the declassified documents, and I'll just say this, there's a documentary called JFK2 on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. There was a memo. This is public information. This is not a conspiracy theory, but when in the 1980s, and Shawn, you may know about this too, there was a memo that was written by J. Edgar Hoover entitled Assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they talked about the anti-Castro groups. And one of the people that attended the meeting the day after the assassination was George Bush of the CIA. And when it came out in the 80s, Bush denied it, saying that it wasn't him because he never had any, he had no relation to the Central Intelligence Agency except for the time he became CIA director, which, remember, if that's the case, then he had no prior experience when he became CIA director. But it's well been speculated, it's speculation, but that the CIA had something to do and the anti-Castro groups had something to do with John F. Kennedy's murder, his assassination. I went to Dealey Plaza a few years ago and I saw where the grassy knoll was. I saw where Oswald supposedly fired his shots, the sniper nest. They have that sealed off in fiberglass now. But I can tell you, especially somebody that messes with guns, and from the things I've seen, that was not an assassination by one person. By no means. I can't say I won't say who the shooters are, but the information is out there if you go look for it.
I know what you're talking about. It's red in everybody's face.
Yeah.
Oswald was an average shot at best. Now I'm being in the military, knowing what I know now. There's no way in hell he could have done that. Got out that building and shot Tippett and got to the movie. Because how did this random shoe store guy know who to point out? It was just that Oswald was a patsy, and was it Ruby?
Jack Ruby was the one who shot him.
Not a mob to go in because he was in and out of he knew the people in the police department. It's not as complex as everybody thinks. That's why they keep pushing off to release the documents, because they hope that our parents' age group be so old they don't think about it, because I think we would probably be the last generation to ever think about the Kennedy assassination the way our parents and grandparents did.
Well, what they want to do is make sure, it's not even that, they want to make sure everybody that was involved is dead and they can't be tried. Because George Bush, I mean, like I said again, he if you watch the documentary and that information I gave, he was, I'm just used to being careful with my word, but supposedly it's been said that he had something to do with it. As they say that LBJ had something to do with it. Richard Nixon. There was a meeting, and this is documented, the night before Kennedy was killed, with Clint Murchison. Murchison was the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, but he was also an oil man. And John F. Kennedy had cut and put orders in that would deplete the oil industry out in Texas. That's why if you go to the library, you'll see posters of JFK with his head like wanted for treason. Like, yeah, they had all of that stuff. So it's not as hard, but yeah, Hoover, Johnson, and a few other businessmen, Nixon, they all attended that meeting, and supposedly, according to Johnson's mistress, Madeline Brown, she said those blankety blank Kennedys, they'll never bother me after tomorrow. So
yeah. And not only get started on the whole Frank Sinatra mob connections.
Oh yeah, he was tied with them. But I love Frank Sinatra because Frank Sinatra actually fought for civil rights for blacks. He actually out at the Sands Hotel. This is a true story. His valet George Jacobs saw Nat King Cole was eating lunch in a car, and Frank Sinatra asked Jacobs to find out what was going on. I saw Nat eating in the car. What's going on? And Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra were close friends. And George told him it was segregated. He could perform at the hotel, but he couldn't stay in the hotel, nor could he eat in the lobby. So Frank Sinatra goes down, talks to the owner of the Sands Hotel, and told him that if Nat King Cole doesn't eat in the lobby with me, I'm firing the entire wait staff and I'm not performing. He would do that. That's the type of power he had. When he spoke, people listened. And sure enough, they let Nat King Cole come in. He did the same thing when there was this black couple that wanted to go gamble at another hotel, and they wouldn't, at another casino and hotel, they wouldn't let him in. And Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra saw the whole thing, and they let them in as their guests. He was instrumental in desegregating, because, man, I've been to Las Vegas. Las Vegas was strictly segregated at one point. A lot of people think you go on the West Coast, you're going to find all this liberal ideology mindset. Back then, they had their segregation laws were just as bad as the South. And, but that's a whole nother story. We got to move on. But you're right, man. But that same thing with Dr. King, that assassination, and even Bobby Kennedy's assassination, I don't believe the official stories, no. But let's go on. But we mentioned gender. I got to talk about this because I don't know if you gentlemen have seen this. Again, I got on Harvey, Superboy from YourWorld, and of course you see Shawn James up there in the corner. Shawn, you can buy his books, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, and John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. I got to talk about this, guys, because I don't know if you saw this, but this came out from the American Medical Association. They had announced that they want to stop putting gender on birth certificates. Now, don't mind if this is on Fox News's page. It's everywhere, actually. But they're saying the American Medical Association is receiving criticism after its House of Delegates called for removing sex markers on birth certificates, with an advisory committee arguing that their inclusion perpetuates a view that sex is immutable. So, congrats, mom and dad. You have an it. Assigning sex using the committee worried that marking a person's sex. I can't believe this is reality, guys.
But this was predicted 50 something years ago.
Assigning,
well, I'm sorry.
Wait, let me finish this, Harvey. Assigning sex using a binary variable and placing it on the public portion of the birth certificate perpetuates the view that it is immutable and fails to recognize the medical spectrum of gender identity. A portion of the AMA report reads, participation by the medical profession, and the government in assigning sex is often used as evidence supporting this binary view. Imposing such a categorization system risks stifling self-expression and self-identification and contributes to marginalization and minoritization. This is real, guys. Don't mind that it's Fox. It's everywhere that they're reporting this. Oh, Lord. Okay. This is a real article. Y'all can go check it out. It is not fake. Harvey, you were saying something. I'll let you go first and then let Shawn go in.
Well, this was predicted over 50 something years ago by our black psychiatrist, Dr. Frances Wells, and she even wrote a book about it, talking about they would start seeing men in dress and, not classified as male or female. I mean, just look what they did. I think at Target, they said they was going to stop color coding the boys section and girls section. And now you got that what's that that pops, I can't think of her name right now. She had the drug problem. She want to be referred to as they, it. And then you got people talking about they're not male. Male is a choice. I'm like, really?
They got people that call themselves they.
They. And I'm like, really? I don't know what they did the last 20 something years, but they really pushed this hard the last 25, maybe 30 years. And a lot of us laughed off and didn't think it was going to happen. But now it's coming to fruition. And don't be surprised bestiality be deemed as normal behavior and men loving boys. It's like everything that was been warned about, even exaggerated or feared on the right, is coming true. And I think that's what they want to happen, because now if you criticize this or have issues with this, they automatically assume you're homophobic. That's not it. It's just this stuff is not the norm. You know what I mean? If a little boy and little girl grows up and they're 18, 19, they can make a choice about what they want to be identified as. But when you start taking off gender off birth certificates, it's going to create nothing but a problem and more confusion in it. That's just me.
Well, it's not just you, apparently, in the chat. A lot of people agree with you. I think this is problematic because this is what I say again. It's not even for me, it's not even a matter of conservative or liberal, but this is a prediction of biblical proportions, because even if you read in the Bible, in the gospel, and I don't know who's religious, but if you don't, but just reading it, Christ had stated that when the Son of Man returned, it would be like the days of Noah and Lot. And what you had in those days was, lasciviousness and lust, and you had confusion. You had people who were not righteous and not one with God, and dysfunction. What you had was decadence, societal decay. That's where we are today. yeah, people have a right to do what they want in their homes. I agree, but when you're 18 years old, that's one thing. But when you're talking about starting them out as babies, starting as babies, they're coming for the kids, and
Hmm.
there's no secret to that. And I'm not afraid to say it. If people don't like what I say, they can get the f off. They can go somewhere. That's the truth. We can't be bullied by stuff anymore for speaking the truth, and that's what they want to do. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, this is just another disturbing part of this ongoing agenda. Now, I noticed this agenda way back in the '90s when I was just had left college. I noticed it with when ABC was pushing this in every show from Ellen to Drew Carey, and we went from the alphabet, and now we're going into the social engineering of children. And this is the scary part for me as related to this because a child really is innocent and cannot make a choice for themselves, and it's looking like they're trying to push them down this road of becoming a sodomite or a sexual deviant. And that's the thing that to me that sickens my stomach about this whole let's take away the gender. This is all a campaign to try to push this deviancy onto children so they can feel justified about it. Because if a child doesn't know that it's male or female, then they can socially engineer these ideas in their mind when they sit there and watch things on television or they see things on the internet, and they can make them believe that these types of deviant behaviors are normal. And this is one of the most disturbing things I have seen. You're going to take away what God has established because He said in the beginning He made male and female. And this is some satanic stuff right here. I mean, this is first world kind of evil. And it just sickens my stomach to hear this type of stuff being done to children because they want to indoctrinate these children at a very young age. They want to get these children to buy into these ideas very early on because they want to be able to have them acting and being able to participate in this type of deviancy and debauchery and believe that it's just something that's perfectly normal. And that's the whole part of this campaign. They've been trying to do this again for over 20 years, pushing it very slowly, but now they've been accelerating it in a lot of different places. And this type of thing as related to birth certificates, this is disturbing because then you have the parent co-signing this kind of insanity instead of going out here and pushing back against it.
And I think this is racially could be related, or let me do that again. It's connected to racism because as they push this heavily on the Black community because universally we set the trends. If we think it's cool and hot, everybody else think it's cool and hot. So if you get Black males going around calling say they it or a girl, you're gonna get others to do that because if you notice how they was pushing the Wade's son, and I refuse to call him a girl. He's not a girl. They was pushing it until it came out that his stepmom actually put him out there on blast. And he said he wished it never happened. Now he had enough sense at that point to say he didn't want nobody to know. That means he wasn't comfortable. He might just be experimenting. I mean, I think that Dwayne Wade might be hiding something. He might be like Bruce Jenner when he get in his 60s. Oh, this is always me because the way he dressed, the way he carried himself. I really do think that. But to sexualize a child at infancy or as a toddler, I think that's just plain evil, and you have an agenda. Because when we were little boys, we probably had an inkling that we like girls, but usually it don't click in our head to about 9 or 10 that we're attracted to the opposite sex. And usually you don't have a sexual desires or these fantasies until you reach 16, 17, 18. So when they telling you at the age of 10 or age 6, I'm a girl, and you going along with that, it's something wrong with you as a parent. Because you letting your child lead you or let society lead you. Because I'm sorry, when we was kids, if we got caught holding our hand a certain way, mama and daddy, they corrected that. And they told you whatever you do when you get 18, 19, you do it in your own home. And like I say, homosexuality been around forever. But I do think now You have a society is doing it because it's the popular thing in Hollywood to say, I'm bisexual, I'm gay, I'm trisexual. Because every week somebody comes out saying they're gay. I've never seen this much gayness in my life. I mean, I'm not, and I know that didn't come out right. It came out kind of clumsy, but it seemed like this is being pushed every day.
Well, look, we got to say this too. The former president, not Trump, the one before him, 44, he had made it his agenda. Essentially, he fought for the rights of gays, but didn't fight for. I thought it was a shame. You're a black president, and you could. The agenda, his goal was, I think he was honestly a Trojan horse conclusion, because a lot of people forget Barack Obama when he came out. Not pun intended. When he came out to run for president, he was initially opposed to same-sex marriage. A lot of people don't remember. I don't know if people remember that, but he was on record saying that. We look like we lost Harvey there. Shawn, you there?
Yeah,
You can still hear me?
I'm here.
Yeah, I think we lost Harvey.
Oh, maybe his connection went out. But they've been pushing this real hard, and to me, it's like the zeal that they push it. That's what's disturbing to me. It's just escalated over the last couple of years. I mean, especially like Harvey said, in the black community, they've just been pushing this effeminate black man really hard. And I remember an article I did called "Black Men in Dresses, Entertainment or Emasculation." I wrote that blog way back in 2011. Let me see if I can bring it up. But I just had it. And this article, I wrote this way back in 2011, and this article, I'm seeing it come true to me. I mean, I'm seeing it coming true right now. And I wrote this article 10 years ago, and I'm seeing the agenda just being pushed real hard these days. And it's everything that I wrote in the blog is now coming true. So it's really disturbing to me.
You wrote an article about same-sex,
I wrote an article about black men in dresses, and
I saw that, yeah.
And I wanted to share it with everybody in the chat. So let me see if I can go over here, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat if I can. But yeah, here we go.
Oh, great. Yeah, they messing with the stream.
Yeah, that's what they do whenever you start to talk about, like I said, they talk about certain issues. So the blog, I wrote this, again, 10 years ago, and everything in it is now coming to pass. I mean, we've seen this whole socialist engineering of the effeminization of the black man, and it's happening right now. And again, it's scary because a lot of young black boys, they don't see what's being done to them because there's no fathers in the home and there's no men in the community to model manhood for them. So they're not really seeing what's going on as related to the social engineering being on. And what they're trying to do now is take away their masculinity, because the whole thing is your white supremacist doesn't want to see masculine black men, because masculine black men represent leadership, they represent authority, they represent competition, and they don't like seeing those things. Just like recently, I was reading an article about what happened to the black man who was assaulted and almost lynched. The reason why they wanted to...
his name was Vaux, what's his name? What's his name?
I'm going to go over here and find it. But
yeah,
that brother, the reason why they filing charges against him is because he tried to stand up and be a black man. And that's what the whole trouble. That was one of the things that disturbed me, because my viewers, Fox Booker, that's his name, but
Fox Broker, that's him.
Yeah. They took this black man, and the reason why they're prosecuting him is because he would not. Okay.
All right.
He would not.
Harvey is on. Hold on a second, Shawn, because Harvey is called in Harvey,
Right.
can you hear us? Harv? I'm trying to see if Harvey can hear us because he's called in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says I'm still on, but I can't hear him. Okay. We're gonna try and reach out to Harvey again. But let me but go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, but they wanted him to sign an agreement where he was supposed to go out here and keep it confidential, and then he was supposed to apologize to the white men who were trying to lynch him. And I looked at that and I saw in it, in that whole statement, I said, the thing here is you don't want this black man to be a man, and you don't want him to stand up for his rights like a man. And because he's standing up for his rights like a man, this is why you're trying to punish him, because what you want to do here is emasculate this black man, break him down to the role of a boy, all because he wanted to stand up for his rights as related to that situation.
Yeah, I have the video actually up here. This is from NBC News, and
Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I guess when as soon as I start talking, they say, "Oh, shut you up."
Yeah, but yeah,
But
we
I'm
were just saying
talking about the baby, right?
we were talking about the baby and how I was talking about the president, the former 44, how he was allowing a lot of this, and where it transitioned was that Shawn was mentioned this brother. His name is Vox Booker, who lives in Bloomington, Indiana. I don't know if people remember last year, he actually was almost lynched when that video went viral. Well, the state is pressing charges against him, and he's claiming the reason why is because he wanted to pursue charges against these two white men. So he wrote and made a comment, says there's nothing more American than charging a black man in his own attempted lynching. Let me play that video, Harvey,
Okay.
first, but and then you can respond about what we're talking about here. But I can't do nothing about these ads.
Jimmy's Jones.
Let me
They
mute
got
it.
summer wraps. They're new.
Let me mute the ad first because I'll probably get a copyright strike.
This one's chicken Caesar. Got croutons too, boss. Freaking Jimmy's Jones.
New summer wraps for a limited time only.
Fair Use Act of 1976 covers this for criticism purposes.
Tonight, growing outrage in Indiana after an alleged attack caught on camera.
Let him go, dude. Let him go.
Video captured by a bystander and posted online by Vox Booker appears to show him pinned to a tree on all fours by white men in what he describes as an attempted lynching.
It was the most disturbing situation in my life.
The video does not capture what led up to the incident, and NBC News has not been able to identify the other people in the video.
Let him go.
That's right.
Booker
We
says
haven't
he was
heard about
walking with
them.
friends at a state park on the 4th of July when the men confronted them, saying he was trespassing.
There's a moment where a woman yells for them not to kill me. And I realize that she's talking about killing me.
Booker says he was beaten and verbally assaulted with racist speech,
You nappy-headed.
and that one of the men yelled, "Get a noose," though that alleged comment wasn't caught on video. Booker is a member of the County Human Rights Commission, and his account has shocked the community.
I've known Mr. Booker for several years. To see what could be seen on that video was nauseating and aggravating and heart-wrenching.
This week, protests erupted.
We gathered to demand the prosecution of Vox's attackers.
The governor now weighing in.
The brief video clip that I viewed with my own two eyes was beyond disturbing.
Authorities say they responded to the scene for a report of a battery. No arrests were made, but an investigation is ongoing. Tonight, the Monroe County Prosecutor's Office tells NBC News that once the investigation is complete, it will review the case and determine what charges are appropriate.
If I'm going to be in this moment, I'm going to make sure that we bring about change and that no one else has to go through this.
Tonight, a call for justice as
Now, this is
investigators
old.
work to shed light on a troubling scene. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
Now that video is old, but
You've been eating the delicious sandwiches.
enough of the ad. That video is old. So the new prosecutor, the special prosecutor, I wasn't going to talk about this issue, but Shawn bringing it up, is Sonia Learcamp. Sonia Learcamp, that's her name. The guys who were involved, the two white bastards, I'm not going to mince my words, Sean Purdy and Jerry Edward Cox, just from that video, they were arrested. They were charged with criminal confinement, intimidation, and battery, which are all felonies. But then after the charges was filed, the DA of Monroe County, Erica Oliphant, she had to step down and recuse herself. And so they brought Learcamp in. So they released a report which stated that they found evidence of multiple crimes committed by Purdy and Cox, but also by Booker. The report said Booker could be potentially charged, but Oliphant had declined to do so. Learcamp charged Booker with felony battery and misdemeanor criminal trespass. Now, Booker slammed the charges and accused Learcamp of retaliating against him because he refused to participate in a mediated resolution with his attackers. Now, Booker and his attorneys are calling for Learcamp's resignation. He says, I'm not going to back down from this. I'm not. And publicly forgive Purdy and Cox. So he says here, it wasn't out of any new evidence or any shocking revelation. It was simply that, once again, I was telling a white person no, and they were going to punish me, he added. His attorney, Catherine Leo, called Learcamp's filing charges unprecedented. Learcamp stated in an email, Mr. Booker is presumed innocent of any charge that have been filed. That being said, unlike Mr. Booker, I am ethically restrained from commenting upon the evidence prior to its presentation at trial. I'm doing my best to apply the law to the facts and allow the principle that we are a country of laws, not men. And apparently, what they're saying is they did enter on this property. It wasn't theirs. They were trying to walk through to go to a park. And he tried to, this is Booker's account. He says that he and several others from their group tried to smooth things over. What had turned into a dispute because more people were expected to arrive and were going to be walking through the property, and things escalated. Now, as a general rule, like I said, I believe in the presumption of innocence, but when you saw the video, and I remember seeing that brief video, they were trying to lynch this man. And the fact that they used those slurs like nappy-headed nigger, that did it for me. That said enough for me. I'm trying to be, as a lawyer, yeah, I believe in due process and see what the evidence is. But even if you were trespassing, there's a certain point, especially I know as a lawyer, where trespassing, and I know the laws in different states there's laws in different states, but that does not warrant killing someone. If they're breaking into your house and your home or your car and you're inside your car, someone's trying to forcibly break in, you have a right to meet force with force. What these guys were doing went beyond that, from what I saw. And the fact that we were talking about removing gender from the birth certificate. I want to stay on topic with that, but I want to let Harvey make his point about you were talking about the gender thing and when we got it cut off. If you want to talk about that, and then we could switch to this if you want.
No, we can switch to this because this is, I think both topics are important, but they basically going to punish the guy for being a victim. I thought I heard everything. I mean, maybe we in bizarro land right about now, because like you said, when they said nappy-headed nigga, you pretty much know where they was going with it. And you saw the video, they was surrounding the guy. But it seemed like they wanted him to go sit down and say, I forgive you, and everybody going about their business. And he refused. That's what they're going after him for, because he didn't want to sit down and break bread with him. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this, black people. I've said it before. Step your Second Amendment rights up. They're here. They're for a reason. Harvey, Sean, you got something to say?
I said what I said before. We can go back to the birth certificate topic.
All right. Well, we just talked about removing gender. You had already said what you had to say about that
Yeah.
earlier. I don't know if Harvey, you had said something about it. I've said what I wanted to say about that with regards to it.
Well, I would add this. This is directed towards our community more so. If you notice the commercials, if you notice the celebrities they tend to pick, and I've noticed black celebrities tend to be more vocal about this and on social media. And I don't understand that. I think our people don't realize that we're kicking ourselves in the gut every time we do this. I mean, I don't have anything personally against people who are gay or lesbian, but when you start removing gender from birth certificates, when you start telling people to call themselves they or it or whatever, and then every time you turn around, you see this push even in cartoons. It's an agenda, and it's directed towards us. And we already have issues within our community, and it's just adding to it. Another thing that we got to fight and push back against.
Right. Well, it certainly is an agenda. They're forcing it down your throats day in, day out. I'll never forget when the Miami Dolphins player made a remark about Michael Sam kissing his girlfriend in the mouth on ESPN when he found out he got drafted, and they they made him go to sensitivity training. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I
But
remember that.
yeah, but that was something that happened. Well, I do have some other news report. I need you guys to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And y'all see the ticker. Please donate to the Cash App, Gavin Richard Esquire, if you love what you're seeing today. If you love the content. I don't know if we have the super chat up working or anything like that, but it's better if you can contribute to the Cash App or to the Zelle. That's even better. Or to the Google Pay or PayPal. I'd appreciate it. You see those at the bottom. Please support the channel. Please support me and contribute. But I did want to make an announcement. I just saw this. This is not something off topic that I had, but guess what? Amber Geiger's appeal was denied. Now, you guys may remember Amber Geiger. She was the woman who shot and killed Botham Jean in Dallas, Texas, in her apartment, the case of the mistaken apartment. And they denied her appeal, citing in this Geiger's lawyers said last year they intended to ask an appeals court to throw out her conviction or be sentenced on a lesser charge of negligent homicide. The appeals court issued the ruling upholding the murder conviction. So, she loses her appeal. I remember this, and I think a lot of people, of course, we remember this because I remember the main thing was the brother, getting up off of the witness stand, hugging her in front of everybody. The judge coming down in flip flops and shorts, giving her a Bible and hugging her and embracing her. I remember that. I thought it was a shame that they did that. I'm not going to say what people can't do in their personal life if you want to forgive someone. And I'm not against forgiveness. But my issue, I guess, and I think was this genuine, or was this a way of pander so you could get a settlement, or was this, especially, I was more taken aback too by the judge's actions, because a judge is supposed to be neutral. And I'm pretty sure, I'm confident, and I will say this, a judge would not get off if that were a black man accused of murder, convicted of murder, she wouldn't have gotten off the witness stand, the judge's bench, to hug them and offer them a Bible. She wouldn't have done that with the cameras on. You guys have a comment?
No, she definitely wouldn't have done that with anybody else. I mean, it was just embarrassing to watch that judge be that biased towards Amber Geiger. I mean, that was egregious right there. But I am happy to hear that the appeals court did deny her appeal, because I thought it was egregious of her to go out here and file an appeal after she murdered Botham John. I mean, to me, that was really audacious as I saw it. I thought she just had a lot of nerve coming out here filing that appeal, when clearly the evidence showed that she had committed this murder of this man. I mean, anybody knows what their apartment looks like, even in the dark. I mean, I have to unlock the door of my apartment all the time, and I know what my apartment looks like. So for her to say, "Oh, I didn't know his apartment from mine," that's a lot. That's a crock of crap right there. And she just is, again, she just is so on. It just takes a lot of nerve to go out here and just file that kind of appeal, when, and then the whole thing is, it just is disturbing to see her think that this was going to go through.
It was arrogance and sensitivity. But my issues with the black people playing and playing that the part they played. See, this is why white folk, when they do things, says they think, oh, either apologize or give them some money and they'll go about their business. That's why they keep doing what they do to us, because we have been conditioned to, like, we'll pray to Jesus and he'll forgive us. I'm sorry. The woman that murdered my sister would never get my forgiveness, because, like Shawn said, when you walk into your home or your apartment, it even has a smell when you open the door. That would have triggered something from the start. Like, wait a minute, this is not my place. This is like I'm God place. You know what I mean? Or where you had your furniture at. Her response was to go for the gun and shoot. And you're trained not to respond that way. You have to get your eyes on a target. I mean, you have to. I mean, it's hard to explain, but like Shawn said, I think it was just the audacity of her trying to appeal it. Now, I don't even think she spent 2 years in jail yet.
This was in 2019. So, yeah, it's been about 2 years now.
About 2 years, barely 2 years. And you would think the media would cover this. This is a police officer that killed somebody. See, they don't want to talk about these type of stories in the media, because there's a lot of stories that are similar to this across the country. And it just, to me, it's just the arrogance and insensitivity. This is why, how can I say this? I respect those who wear the uniform, but when I hear about police officers getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar, my sympathies, it ceased to exist.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, again, when you get out in public, I know the lawyer out in Dallas who's handling this case, the Geiger case. He represented the family in the civil suit from the civil point, because he was up there with Crump and what's the other guy's attorney's name? Merritt, Esley Merritt. They were the lawyers that were there, and I'm the lawyer. I know Daryl. He's a real good guy. I even spoke with him, and I think he was even probably surprised about the stuff that was going on in the verdict. And, it was something that they had never seen before. I've never seen a judge get off the bench. That was the thing that did that for me, was a judge getting off the bench doing that. And, as a lawyer who has been in court, I've seen murderers get sentenced. I've seen attempted murderers get sentenced, armed robbers, rapists, and so forth. These white judges would never get off the bench and give no Negro yet a pep talk, yet alone a Bible. That would not happen. So, and yeah, Botham John was in his shorts eating ice cream, watching a football game, when all of a sudden that stuff happened. And my initial thinking was they had a relationship, but they said that wasn't the case. Your apartment, you go by a doormat. They said that, well, the locks on the door, it was probably not closed correctly. Because I was wondering, if she got her keys and you put your key in the door, you would know automatically this is not your place. So I don't know what happened or so forth. We only know from what was seen in the body camera footage and what one person is saying. But this was yeah, but that was something else, when that transpired. But guys, you got to stay on code with this stuff that's going on. Be mindful of everything. It's funny, we were just talking about Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo, but this was an article, something I read. Just to go back to that, it was reported that the View is facing backlash because Whoopi Goldberg headlined Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's fundraiser. All the while they were criticizing Andrew Cuomo.
Boy, karma is coming back to bite the butt. I'm getting a kick out of this. I really am. Everybody is set back, and we was on a high horse the last 4 or 5 years, attacking Bill Cosby and demanding that he do this.
In particular.
Yeah, because they John Oliver punked out on his show on HBO, and the following Monday she's on TV crying, Bill, you need to tell us what you did wrong.
He said, Bill, this doesn't look good. What she had, she had Dan Abrams come on, and Abrams was the one that convinced her to go to the other side. That punk ass John Oliver, I don't watch his shit. None of these guys that get shows on HBO or Showtime, they're not talented, they're not funny, but they're there because they push an agenda. That's why they put them on there.
And if you notice, they've been attacking the black community, some low key, some not so low key. And like I keep telling people,
like, who the hell is John Oliver?
Yeah, he was on the Daily Show, not the Daily Show, or was it the Daily Show with Steve Carell? It was one of those shows. They are the same. And all of a sudden, he gets on, he goes his rant, and Bill Maher and all of them, and now Whoopi Goldberg was out there. Now she's catching hell. I told everybody, karma will come back on you. It may take 10 years, it may take 2 years, but it's going to come get you sooner or later.
Yep, they're reaping what they're sowing, and we're all seeing them getting payback for what they did to Bill Cosby. I mean, all these people who did Bill Cosby wrong, we're seeing a lot of them get it payback, and it's just I'm just happy to see it.
Yeah, everybody's getting their karma. And here's the thing too, Whoopi Goldberg, there are pictures of her. We're around Bill Cosby. I remember when he was actually adamant defending Bill Cosby. She was the one that questioned Beverly Johnson directly about all of the stuff that was going on. She asked her, did he rape you or no? So what are you talking about? Well, wait, how did you feel? Did you go to the police? She was asking tough questions. She was the only one I remember asking all questions about it. Y'all remember that?
I remember. Beverly Johnson disappeared after that too.
Right. Because Beverly Johnson's own manager said she was lying because he managed her. I think his name was Don Gibble. He managed her and he managed Janice Dickinson. He said both of them lying. You know why? They get paid, number one, when they want to do bookings and for their talents to get on a show. They're the ones that do the bookings.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that handle that. So he knew it was BS. Essentially, my thing, with Whoopi, everybody that was quiet or did something, karma has come to collect. God don't like ugly. You attacked an elder in our community. You went along with it with no evidence. You did so. If you attacked him or you said he was guilty, it was because not on evidence, but you did it because you had a personal grudge against him. When I saw some of the men do interviews with Vlad TV, like I saw your video, Harvey, you did about Earthquake. And I like Earthquake as a comedian. I've seen him, I admire him as a comic and so forth. Very funny. But the reason why he was criticizing Cosby had nothing to do with he had heard about this or whether he thought the evidence was real. What did he say was the main thing? He would have gotten Def Comedy Jam canceled. He couldn't go get Def Comedy Jam canceled. That was on HBO, not NBC.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, truthfulness, some of the comedians that were on there, I'm not gonna lie to you, some of it was quite buffoonish and niggerish. Some of them were. Some of it was.
That's why a lot of them are still struggling to this day because their comedy hasn't changed in 30 years.
I'm never gonna say, because I'm a comic myself, I'm never gonna say what a comedian can or cannot say, but I can tell you, I saw, even Chris Rock made fun of Def Comedy Jam. He said when he was on Arsenio, he said, I saw a brother cursing so much on Def Comedy Jam, I thought he had Tourette's syndrome. I'm like, why the chicken cross the road, bitch? Like, it was just too much. Same thing. David Allen Greer even had an interview on TV Land, and he said at times when he watched Def Comedy Jam, he was shaking his head. It's like, oh my God, this is setting black people back 400 years. I look at the TV shows now, and both of you all have done commentary about TV and the dysfunction. I can see what Dr. Cosby was talking about, because I look at Stars, and don't get me wrong, there's room for those types of shows like Power, but as I'm watching Power, and this is also my sixth sense going off, the new Power series. Have y'all seen it? Sean,
yeah, I watched it. I watched the first episode.
Okay, you watch. I'm not talking about just Ghost 2, but they got the prequel with Kanan.
With Kanan, I saw that. That's why I saw.
I watched it.
And
And
it got an agenda too. It has an agenda.
It has the agenda in both sequels, both the spinoff and the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, use your imagination when we say agendas. And it's like every character on television now, a black character, something is wrong with them. Even the show, and I know it's based off of a movie, the show Blind Spotting that's on Stars. It's like the black male characters. I saw one Negro walking around with an ankle bracelet. I saw with an extension cord. I saw
that. Yeah, there was. Yeah,
I'm like, what?
Excuse me. But see, that's the point I was making. Look, it's a place, like you said, it's a place for mindless entertainment, because every now and then you want to watch something that's going to make you where you're not overthinking the show. But after a while, you see a pattern of the black guy is either a criminal, or he's been wrongfully accused, or he's on the down low, or he's illiterate, or he's a hyper exaggeration of. That's why when people romanticize Good Times, I said, people criticize Good Times. Excuse me, when it's initially they thought that Jimmy Walker was buffoonish too, and it seemed like in the 80s, thanks to the Cosby Show, Different World, and even Family Matters, in Fresh Prince, we was laughing with them. People was laughing with us, not against us. That's what I'm trying to say. And
Right.
it seemed like the studio said, "Nah, we gonna have no more of those shows. Let's go do Homeboys in Outer Space." Yeah, that's it. And then they watch a lot of rap videos. That's really like what it is in the black community. Okay, we're gonna do the 21st century style Boys in the Hood, and we start getting this dumbing down. And then I noticed, now y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the producers of these shows are homosexual.
Oh, that's true.
Lena Ray, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and the shows are so poorly written. I sit there and say, I can write shows better than that.
This shows are awful.
It's an insult. And I know Shawn, I watch his videos, you talk about how they write these characters. I can hear in your voice. I know Shawn is like, these are idiots. I mean, it's the dumbing down of our people. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect, but at least white people and other people get a balanced picture. We're still like we're going back to, I don't even say blaxploitation, because at least in the 70s, they had some type of structure. I mean, when you got Cooley High, you knew there was a Superfly, but it was an underlying message to those movies. Today, it's like they're playing to the lowest common denominator, and it's very insulting. It's very dangerous, in my opinion.
They're playing to the lowest bidder, the lowest stereotype. I mean, I saw the video where Tyler Perry's sisters. First and foremost, if you have a show called Sisters,
that dude got hit. Oh my
God! It's important to have I think you should have some black female writers writing a show, especially if it's about sisters. and they had one scene that was trending. Tariq Nasheed shared it, and I was laughing my ass off. Where this guy punched this, I guess the guy was gay.
Yeah, I saw that.
He punched him and he spun him around, and he did the Wayman from
Yeah, I saw that clip. I mean, that's just
like Prince.
That's just some bad writing and some really bad directing. I mean,
if I was a director, I would have me do that scene over. I agree with you, Sean. I would have me do that over again.
You would think a man that's got $1 billion studio, he can also afford some wigs.
Yeah, you think he would be able to have better production values, and he would have good screenwriting. I mean, as an amateur screenwriter myself, I looked at a lot of those. I looked at that one scene. That just made me shake my head. I mean, because you have all this money and you're putting a scene like this in here, it doesn't really fit a consistency with the comedy you're putting down. I mean, as a guy who has written comedy, I understand. Yeah, you want to make things funny, but the whole thing is this isn't funny. This is just absurd. And with a lot of these black shows these days, it's like they're not really even trying to put together anything of quality whatsoever. I mean, the writing on many of these shows either is breathing brand new life into old I'd even say antebellum South stereotypes, or we get the same old poor downtrodden black people. And from what I do when I go ahead and write books, I've gone and studied all different aspects of black life, and we haven't even seen the scratching of the surface as related to black media as related to the black experience. I mean, if I can go out here and put it in books like I have done over the last, I'd say about decade or so, I'm wondering why can't these Hollywood do it, or even some of these black production companies? I mean, I can go out here
because they're controlled by a select interest.
Yeah,
like what Judge Joe Brown said. Judge still gets the emails, and he even said, one of the reasons why he's not on is because he's not supportive of the LGBT cult that they have there. He said, "Now it's their right to do whatever they want to do, but so do others have rights." But he said they have been pushing an agenda to force this down the throats of the American people. I remember about 6 years ago, myself, I was listening to LifeSite News. There was an email sent by the president of GLAAD. They wanted to increase the amount of homosexual scenes and characters in movies by like 1,000%. What? As if they hadn't seen an influx that year. I remember 2015, a lot had changed. And, I remember they had the movie Get Hard with Kevin Hart. They had the TV shows like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. They had a lot of gay scenes in How to Get Away with Murder, but I still don't know how to get away with murder as a lawyer. I was wondering what the correlation between dick sucking and get murder had to do with it. But I don't know, could have been an interesting combination. I don't know, but I don't know the correlation. I stopped watching after the first season. Netflix, if you watch Netflix, they got a whole bunch of it on there. They've been pushing it. Hulu, it doesn't matter. It's everywhere. Now,
they need a writer's room.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, most of those guys, I think a lot of them, I would say a lot of their bosses are openly gay individuals. Look at the producer that got in trouble for being a bully that Tom Cruise spoofed in Tropic Thunder. His name was Scott Proden or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's openly gay, but people were coming out attacking him, coming out at him because he was being a bully to people.
And Mark Cherry, who was a executive producer of Desperate Housewives, remember that he was gay and he was playing to black stereotypes. And you had the former, I think the head of what was that, Paramount? They did that the email hack, when it came out, when he was talking about Denzel Washington and black viewers, what type of movies. Pardon?
I thought that was Sony.
I'm sorry, Sony. Excuse me, Sony. I'm corrected. And a lot of these people are homosexual, and they make the decision as far as the money and what gets greenlit. But when you got black writers and producers pandering or writing, like the show The Shot, okay, I've watched it, and sometimes I'm like, I just killed my brain cells. You know what I mean? Because it's like they play into a news narrative what they think the city of Chicago is. Everybody in our community is not gangbangers. Everybody's not baby daddies or baby mamas. You have entrepreneurs. You have people who are doctors, lawyers, teachers. You have geeks. Like, I've yet to see a true show about science fiction geeks, or as they say, or nerds who are black. You either get the Urkel or you get the Disney version of the black kid, dark-skinned black kid with a mini fro, snorting all the time and over-exaggerating his facial expressions and things of that nature. And it's very off-putting. And like during the whole run of Big Bang Theory, you never saw a black nerd. The closest you got was the Indian guy. You see what I'm saying? So they don't even know how to write us. And then when you think black writers would get a hold of, be able to write us and explain our community, they play into the worst stereotypes. And it's very insulting.
Yeah,
definitely. That's why we gotta work on a screenplay, create our own studios. We gotta contribute to channels like this. Please, I can't stress this enough. Y'all see the Cash App at the bottom, Gavin Reshaw Esquire. Y'all see the PayPal, gavin.grich1@gmail.com, as well as the Google Pay and the Zelle. Please contribute to the channel, to the program. We got 62 heavy in here tonight. Our regulars like Derek Bailey, Rosalind, DeAndre Mobley. We have S. Mott, what's up? Donald Washington, Butterfly 70, and of course, Black Mama, I saw you earlier. Some chick named Star. She's been on the channel for a while. Shout out to our brother Dwan B, because she came over from that channel. He put me up, so I thank him for that. Queen Adaya, of course, Adaya Shakur. Queen Amadaya Shakur, yeah, a bunch of people. But yeah, the main thing, guys, is that we gotta, if you don't control the narrative, then others will take the story. And that's why it's important to have your own networks and your own studios, and especially when you avoid censorship. You know, what would cure the baby and so forth, and those guys, when they get in trouble, is if they had all their money. Because some of these rappers, believe it or not, they're borrowing money on a loan. They don't own all of the rights to their music. They don't control everything. So they need their money. It's just like what happened when Nick Cannon had to apologize for having Professor Griff on his show, and he was cut. They canceled Wild 'N Out, and Nick Cannon had to go on an apology tour, having Jewish rabbis come over on his channel. I did a video on it. I know Harvey and Shawn have done videos on it, and he had to apologize to the Viacom CBS chairman woman, Redstone,
Sherry Redstone,
whose
The
family,
daughter of Summer Redstone.
she's the daughter of Summer Redstone, who, I mean, that's a very wealthy family, though. He started or was involved in the creation of the modern movie theaters, he and his family. So that's how he made his money. And they own and control they own BET. They control all the Viacom CBS networks. That includes VH1, MTV. That's why when you see the BET Awards will be on MTV too. By the way, MTV turned 40 this past week. Rest in piss, congrats in piss or whatever, because MTV has been shit for a while. I haven't watched MTV in a long time, but anything that's on the Paramount Network, CBS, they own all of that.
Nickelodeon, TuneIn, all that.
Comedy Central.
It don't even start with Comcast, what they all got going. NBC, Universal, Fox, with actually Disney owned Fox Entertainment. It's crazy. But the thing is, they need people. First of all, we got to demand quality. You got people like Shawn that writes fiction, and he writes to certain issues. I don't write as much as I used to, but if you got a few brothers in a room, I think we can put at least a story, a TV show together, whether it be a comedy, action, or a dramedy or a romantic thing. It can go 3 or 4 years without insulting the viewership. I think that we as a people, and I don't want to speak for an entire group of people, I think we just settle for less. Because look how long it took for people to wake up to black men warning about Tyler Perry movies. They thought we was hating on him because he was successful or because he presented kind of feminine. We're like, Don't you realize he's making money? Yeah, it was crap.
His only, the best movie he did that I liked was Daddy's Little Girls.
Mm-hmm.
That was about the only thing he did that I can think of that was great. And I'm not gonna lie to you, because Tyler's from New Orleans. He's from my hometown. You know, I respect the fact that at one point he was homeless and was hustling and made a name for himself. Basically, if you remember back in the late 90s, everything was about these stage plays. They don't really, I think, generate the same amount anymore stuff anymore like they used to. But those stage plays that they used to do in the 80s and 90s, they used to have commercials for them, and even early 2000s. That's how he got his start doing Medea and so forth. And he made a career off of that. At some point, however, you got to wonder though: do I evolve at this point? Because they've made practically every Medea movie except Medea Goes into Space, and I think that's coming. I think that's coming real soon.
Well, Lee Daniels was trying to get a superhero, a gay superhero. I don't know if y'all remember that.
He's still trying it.
Oh my God! I remember he was. And look, this is my thing. I don't want anybody to think that I'm bashing Tyler Perry because we got to give the brother props of where he started and where he grew his company into. It's just that he got to let the reins go a little bit and get a writer's room, get diverse opinions. That excuse that I'm right to this particular group, you're going to pigeonhole yourself. And other people figure, well, if Tyler's doing that, I'm going to do it. And it's frustrating because sometimes you be watching TV, you're like, I saw this somewhere before. And I'm like, didn't I see this in like a Lee Daniels movie or TV show or Tyler Perry, And it's just like, if it's not about the church, it's about food. If it ain't about food, it's about somebody on the down low. It's like that's the only way we write stuff, or we're in the criminal empire.
Yeah.
I got the super chat on, but nobody's contributed as of yet. Okay, that's all right. Well, I can't stress this enough. If you can contribute to the channel, donate to the Cash App, donate to Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle. Yeah, but I like Good Deeds. Butterfly said, I haven't seen that film. But it's just, my opinion is that Tyler Perry should do something different. The Fast and Furious franchise. Are you about to say something,
I
Shawn?
believe that Tyler Perry needs to start letting others in. I mean, there's a lot of talented writers out there like myself and many others.
Myself too.
And a lot of good concepts out there. And Tyler needs to just start letting other people in so that he can get his studio to really be a strong studio, because him trying to do everything is something you just can't do. That's something I learned as being a publisher. There's just certain things I couldn't do. Like I can't draw very well. So I go out here and I hire comic book artists to do the covers for several of my books, or I'll go out and look for stock photos, because covers are not something I can do all by myself. So that's one thing I said he needed to do. He needs to go out here and look at other talented writers and let them run a couple of shows and bring some concepts to the table, because if he's trying to do everything himself, like I heard one time he had wrote an entire season of a TV show in a couple of days. And I said to myself, I had written an entire season of a TV show all about Nikki, a series of screenplays, and it took me close to a year to get that many scripts, 13 scripts for like a syndicated type show together, just to do that. And he's sitting there talking about he did it in a couple of weeks. And I knew as a screenwriter that's the first draft. You got to clean that up. And he's going to go to shooting that without ever once taking that story apart and seeing if all these sequences work together, or the story points make sense. Because I know when I was doing the All About Nikki TV episodes and I was doing the All About Marilyn screenplay, I deconstructed those scripts multiple times before I even took them out for publication. And that was one of the things that I saw that Tyler Perry was making a big mistake on, that's hurt his studio. And you really got to bring people in who are talented so they can show you where you're going wrong, and they can help you really get your stories together, because he's got a studio, but he just makes a lot of poor quality stuff. And the stuff, if he just took a minute to go through those scripts and refine them a bit, and then work on the shooting and the camera work, he could possibly create some quality product.
You know, the best way I could describe how Tyler Perry is running a studio, maybe Sean might get the reference, the Marvel style, where, you know, Stanley wrote a plot and Jack Kirby and the artist came in and filled in the blanks, because like you said, there's no way you can write in 20-some episodes of a comedy without going back, revising it, seeing what joke work, do the run do. A lot of it, I think the directors had to comment, or the actors had to ad-lib some of the things, because I watched Meet the Pains one day and I'm like, it's contradicting what they said in the previous scene. I'm like, I know it's not me. Then the editing is kind of choppy. Like I said, I understand beginners, but he has enough money now. He can hire editors, story editors, continuity editors. I mean, even I don't know everything about Hollywood, but I know you have people put in certain positions so everything will flow in a better way. You know, quality control, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, but I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, S. Mon. It gave me my first super chat. I appreciate that. First ever.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's I don't know. It's just like when I watch some of these superhero shows. It's like, you know, that they're not following source material and stuff. They just putting what they think it should be. That's how I feel when I watch a lot of these TV shows and movies. They don't understand the audience they're writing to. They looking for the lowest common denominator, looking for the quick buck. They just want to sell commercial. They want to get advertising dollars. That's why he does his shows so fast. Because the more episodes you sell, the more advertising dollars you can get. And after a while, the advertisers not going to be there anymore, because they're not getting quality product. Because better believe, I'm not the only one that's been on social media is complaining about some of the crap that's coming out of Black Hollywood.
No, you're not. Harvey, Shawn in particular, because he's a writer, just like myself and countless others. I mean, and then the thing I think that disappoints me with Tyler is that he is in a position now to do this. Than anybody. Oprah never did it. Hell, Spike Lee, I mean, you might say maybe the only one, but Spike didn't have the monies that Tyler Perry has, you know, in terms of that. Where Tyler can reach a broader audience, and he's got, you have a whole studio, man, that you can have black writers, screenwriters come up with different concepts, and you have the money to back it up.
And there are veteran actors that he can get to work with who've been in the Hollywood since, like a Wesley Snipes. You know, start an action franchise around him through Tyler Perry Productions. You know what I mean?
But in fairness, though, he has had. I to just stop you right there, Harvey. Just in fairness, he has given some veteran actors like that you didn't see for a while, and even some up and coming actors opportunities. I give him credit for that.
No, I'm not talking about the acting opportunities. I'm talking about behind the scenes, because Wesley Snipes, I don't know if his Amon Ra Productions still exist or not, but here it is. We want outside of the superhero genre. Why don't we say, okay, why don't we have our version of The Bourne, you know, something like that, written from our perspective, with our nuances, and say, well, Wesley Snipes. Yeah, Wesley Snipes was an action star back in the 90s before they discovered Will Smith. I mean, Passenger 57 and all that. And then
that was my shit, man. Passenger 57.
Exactly. And then he can go get Mario Van Peebles, who gave us New Jack City, because he directs occasionally. I mean, go get those people that work behind the scenes, or he can start breaking out doing documentaries. Because we need more than just the Medea. And I'm not crapping on him, because that's how he made his bread and butter. All I'm saying is, he had to let the rings go a little bit, and get a writer's room. They can get people who work makeup in Hollywood or up and coming makeup artists. Because I'm not gonna lie, the guy that played Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl, when I saw him in that movie with that wig, like every time he started to sweat, it was like a sponge was on his head. And I'm like, I know they saw it when they was in makeup. Like,
wait, what movie was that?
I forget the name of it.
It was on Netflix.
It was. You know how Steve Harvey used to wear that sponge on his head and tell you on Tyra Banks, and the lights got him, and that's what he said. I'm not doing this anymore because as Tyra Banks spoke to him, it kept going up and up and up. And I mean,
that was the sponge. That was the Steve Harvey cake mix, boy.
yeah, boy, yeah. A family feud.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and my thing is, yes, he named sound stages after those actors that went forward, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of black actors who wrote screenplays and worked behind the scenes because they know in Hollywood you have a shelf life for so much because everything's about appearance. There are a lot of people who worked in Hollywood could work behind the scenes. Like Kim Fields, she still act, but she knew she had to branch out and start directing. You had her mother Chip Fields did that. Even I know Alfonso Ribeiro, even though the crap he said about Black Americans, he was directing. I mean, you had to branch out because everybody is not going to go support your movies. And a lot of people now, if it's not a superhero movie, it's kind of hard to compete. So you got to go into a different direction. That's just what I would do if I had the opportunity to do it.
Even old girl who played Marcy Darcy, she was a director as well. She was directing a lot of Jamie Foxx, the Jamie Foxx show.
Yeah, because she knew they wasn't going to hire a lesbian that looked like her on TV because she had to branch out. And a lot of people learn, like most of the Star Trek actors, they're directors now.
Yeah.
It's the only way they can make money.
Exactly, because Jonathan Frakes, I just watched Star Trek Discovery. I think he directed at least 3 episodes last season. And you gotta branch out. Like I said, if I knew publishing, I would love to write novels and books and stuff like that. Because like I said, I got a lot of ideas. I'm more like the ideal kind of dude that would sit back and say, okay, this is what I would like to see in TV and movies. Like we have yet to see a black romantic movie where we're not playing the old relationship tropes. We just don't be love interest. You know what I mean? The black man, black female dynamic, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's just what I look for. I like diversity in my television shows. Like it's times I go on a whole documentary kick. I like documentaries, but like I said, I try to watch some of these shows that are geared to us, and they're painful to watch. I try to dumb myself down, but it's insulting.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you. Now you see these glasses I got on. I don't care if you tweet. I don't care if you twat. I don't care if you super dap. Whatever that so-called shit y'all do. This is not for the young school. This for the old school players. Y'all contribute to the super chat. Continue to give and donate to the Cash App. Y'all see it on the ticker right there. Guess what? Your boy got money because my son-in-law, he's Killmonger from Black Panther. My son-in-law. That's my son-in-law, yo. Yeah, that's right.
Don't let me put out Bernie Mac. Don't let me put Bernie Mac out on you now. Don't do that. Don't do that, brother.
Show some love, motherfucker. Show me some love. My man was Robin Harris. Baby.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the people that was diverse in their talent. You can go back and pick out something from 30 years ago that stood out. I mean, Robin, these kids don't know who Robin Harris is.
Harvey, do y'all know they're rebooting? They're doing a remake of House Party. Please cancel that.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Do it. No.
Sometimes leave it alone. The last House Party movie was pushing it. I mean, it tell you how
new ideas. There are no new ideas anymore. It's like y'all recycling the same shit. Robin Harris is what made House Party. He was him, John Witherspoon, and just the being that it was the late 80s, 90s, that was just the right moment for Kid and Play and so forth. They were popular back then. And nowadays it's just so watered down. It's like the people that they put out in the music business and in entertainment, this is who they want you to look at. This is what they want. Yeah, they're redoing a reboot of Good Times and so
Guess
forth.
who's behind that? Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane and Steph Curry.
Oh my God.
Steph Curry is producing that. I would not watch. Yeah, Shawn did a video on it. I wouldn't watch it.
If the TV show couldn't make it, what make you think the Good Times about Seth MacFarlane is going to? I mean, how many Dynamite jokes can you tell? I mean, seriously.
I've seen John Witherspoon perform before. He killed it. Pops, Cat Williams. I saw Cat Williams when he came to Baton Rouge, and I saw Kevin Hart. I laughed harder. Cat Williams brought the house down, boy.
And like I was saying earlier, a lot of these comics who are talented, they don't get the chance to shine because we do go for the crass comic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Bill Cosby was just warning back in the day, and people still hold over his head like he was trying to stop us. No, he's trying to tell you, hey guys, there's a reason why I'm rich and famous, while you guys are still struggling 30 years later, playing the Chitlin circuit.
Yeah.
Well, I think my thing too, and Bill Cosby, by the way, is going to be on the Judge Joe Brown show tomorrow.
Wow.
With Andrew.
Wow.
And
We'll have to tune into that.
Hopefully I get to speak to him. You know, I don't know if he would think if I did my impression. I would like to talk to you. Because
I stood my ground.
I used to love you, but now I hate you because you grew up to become stupid. You know?
That was a good one.
The thing with Cosby, I have to say this because there were some things he said I didn't like about the pound cake speech, and even with the comedians, because I think when he, I guess, was talking against it publicly and in the manner he said it may have not been correct. Because Def Comedy Jam, I'll say this, it was needed because blacks couldn't get stage time, Harvey, in certain clubs.
Well, I understand.
Like a Comedy Store, from what I heard, especially, you couldn't get on unless you were Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy if you were on television. Because how you make money in comedy is that you got to have other jobs. There is no money in comedy. I could tell you that. Although you may get stuff here and there. If you feature, I'll give you a little money there. Or I'm featuring tomorrow at Ugly Dog Saloon, by the way, if anybody's
well, I think what Mr. Cosby is trying to say that you could.
He was trying to show people another way.
He was trying to show them another way. But wow, I mean, let's just be honest. When Def Comedy Jam premiered, we was in high school. You know, I mean, you know, yeah, you remind me. I keep forgetting. I'm 40 something. But the thing is that he knew that the way HBO was marketing that show, it was aired where children can hear it. And what he was afraid of, that we would start running around engaging in stereotypical behavior. And guess what? He was sort of right. Because if you think about the entertainment industry the last 30 years, a lot of this projections come from the studios and the record companies. You know what I mean? And maybe he should have done it a little bit different. But you have to understand, he was one of our elders. He was speaking like a father or a grandfather to his family. And for people to throw it back in his face today and then turn around and complain and say, wait a minute, you was born 30-something years ago. I mean, it was one thing when NWA came out and the Ice-T Cop Killer, that was for that group. But when you start getting clones of clones of clones, and then people had to be more out. I mean, remember when Hammer went from you can't touch this to pumps and the bumps? It was jarring. You know what I mean? It was just too much.
Well, they were calling, yeah. Well, yeah, I understand that, but and I think there's a time and place for everything. Like me personally, I'm a Richard Pryor guy. Richard Pryor. I've said this before. Bill Cosby was an influence even on Richard Pryor, and he was just as important. But Richard obviously is the one that most stand-up comedians take to because he was, raw individual and so forth. But if you took even the curse words out, you could still laugh at the comedy. And Cosby, he knew that the way you make money, the way that you get on television, you had to be clean and work that way. And he was just telling and showing other people. He was like he was basically another kung fu master. Hey, I found another way to do my art. Let me show you what you could do. But I think the way it came off, and sometimes how he said it, or came at things, he did it from a condescending, you know, people took it as condescending, like you look down towards me. Now, I may have disagreed with him on that, but just because I disagreed with him on that doesn't mean that I would automatically blanket him with the accusations he was faced. You know, and that's what I think, because I talked to my brother's best friend, and, you know, essentially he thought Cosby was guilty, just like Michael Jackson. And I said, well, why? He said, well, whether he didn't do it or not is Bill Cosby came off as an asshole with me because when I was a kid and I was facing through my troubles, he basically was talking down on brothers like me. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, what about all of the things he did? I hear what you're saying about the speech and so forth, but what about all the stuff he did that was good for the community? What about the $100 million to the HBCUs, one of the schools you graduated with? What about his continuing education of Black children, giving to Black charities? You know, he gave more money than any other celebrity outside Michael Jackson to HBCUs. He was like, well, no, he didn't. That had the Oprah. I said, no, it's not Oprah.
Mm-mm.
It was Michael Jackson and then Bill Cosby. Michael gave through United Negro College Fund. He set up scholarships. Cosby gave over $200 million to different schools and charities, over $100 million to HBCUs. I said, what about, you know, what about him? You know, there was a ton of stuff that he did that was positive. And even if he didn't give those monies to those schools, the fact that he would put on a Dillard University sweatshirt or a Xavier University sweatshirt or Howard, and you saw other Black shows doing the same thing too, because I remember Living Single did it. The women would wear a Spelman shirt like Regine or Kim Fields' character Tootie. Kim Fields, she played Regine on the show. She would wear different shirts. Same thing with Martin. I remember when he would have the Grambling sweatshirt or Morris Brown, you know, he was starting a trend. And Dr. Cosby did that. So you got to, and after a while talking to him for 45 minutes, when I told him about the DA campaigning on getting Bill Cosby, he looked at the information itself and saw, oh, wait, this guy was running on a campaign to get Bill Cosby. I see it here. Yeah, he got railroaded after talking to him for 45 minutes.
I think the problem is with us is that we've been conditioned as a community to view us as the bad guy, even though we say different on a subconscious level. We think we're what people project on us. I keep, like I said, it's a pop. When I first heard about the whole thing, I said he very well could have done what he was accused of, but literally overnight, I saw the media come after him. And the women that said he did something, like, okay, if he did these things, how lucky can this man be to get that many women not to go say anything to anybody, especially if this started in the 1960s? Just like the one woman who since passed from cancer, she said he raped her at Rockefeller Center. And I'm like, no, I'm not from New York, but I do know how Rockefeller Center is set up. There's no way in hell a Black man is going to be going to Rockefeller Center with white security, white production assistants on the Tonight Show at Johnny Carson and get away with raping a white woman, and she says nothing. That's when I knew it was bunk.
Yeah.
You know, you had Janet Dixon come out, who's known to lie on Sylvester Stallone, the guy that played Mr. Big in Sex and the City, and many others come out and said he raped me, and she did that false crocodile tear. That's why she never got in any movies, because she can't even fake cry. So it defied logic, and then people were saying, well, he criticized us. So you're going to take criticism to say he's guilty of something? You conflated the two, and that's dangerous.
Right. And you got to be careful with stuff like that. I mean, and you know, those same groups, the NAACP, the Spellmans and so forth, where were they when Cosby was getting in trouble? They took his money. They used his image, carte blanche. The NAACP, they were quiet about it. All the stuff that was going on. People he helped, the Black comedians, the Black, you know, I mentioned Spike Lee earlier. When he was making Malcolm X, he lost, Warner Brothers pulled the money. They pulled funding from the film, and he needed money. So Who did he talk to? He talked to Cosby. Same thing with Melvin Van Peebles, although Melvin Van Peebles, I saw they tried to get him to talk on Cosby. He stayed on code. He said, Cosby's been nothing but good to me. I don't have nothing to say about it.
And we wouldn't even got Earth, Wind, and Fire if it wasn't indirectly caused of Cosby, because they were scoring the movie that Melvin Van Peebles, Sweet Badass. They would still been a struggling Chicago group if Cosby didn't give up the money to help. And I think what's low down to me is what Spike did to Bill Cosby, because here is Warner cut off his budget. Warner said no more money because he wanted to go to Mecca, because nobody shot a movie in Mecca before. So that was groundbreaking right there. Cosby got on the phone, got Janet Jackson, Aretha Franklin,
Oprah,
Michael Jordan, and Magic. I mean, he got Michael Jordan, and you know Jordan don't want to say nothing political. That's as black as Jordan was ever going to be with that. Because at the end of the movie, they got him again. Nelson Mandela. That was a big get to do it, and to sit there and say he stole from me. You know, there was black colleges before School Days, Spike. They would step in and doing all that stuff before then. It just so happened his movie Different World came out around the same time. They had the same production team, because Black Hollywood was very small back then.
Well, it goes even further than that, Harvey, because Shawn broke it down perfectly when I had him come on, and he knew as a writer himself, it takes time. First and foremost, you got to have a copyright, have your work copy written. You have to know who the project, how the product is going to be designed, what the project is about, who the cast of characters are. All of that takes time. So Spike Lee, when he came out, other than She's Gotta Have It, all he was known for was directing some Michael Jordan commercials with the Mars Blackman character. That was it. School Days came out in '88. Different World came out in 1987. So obviously you weren't that popular then. You weren't known then, and now you're trying to cling on Dr. Cosby because you finally got that Oscar.
The honorary Oscar.
You got an Oscar. You know, you put Malcolm X in a zoot suit and had his head in the toilet. Dick Gregory never forgave him for that. He never liked him for doing that, by the way. But but this whole but Spike wasn't nothing but a punk for that, man. And I was really disappointed in Spike. I've actually met Spike Lee before and thought he kind of brushed me off a little bit, but he shook hands with me when he was doing that If the Lord's Willing and the Creek Don't Rise, or whatever it was, it was a movie based off of it was a documentary he was doing about Katrina here in New York. And that's how I met him. But I was very disappointed in Spike. I was disappointed in not so much. Sinbad kind of came back, but
he was struggling because he came out hard for Bill Cosby, and somebody said you're a working comic. You might want to take it back just a little bit. So I understood sorta, but what bothered me is like Malcolm Jamal Warner and then Jaleel White, those cats that was child stars who have never been known if it wasn't Mr. Cosby giving them the thumbs up. You know, even Raven-Symoné, even though she had admitted that she didn't remember much of anything, she started to throw them under the bus because it seemed to be the trend. And that's what bugged me about this. This is why I say, this is why we're always under attack, because we don't show any unity. And people can pick us off at any moment. And it is very dangerous. And it teaches another generation that you don't have to have a backbone or a code of conduct. Whatever somebody says to you, you just accept it and go about your business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this flyer because we're gonna wrap it up right now, man. We've had a great show so far, but yeah, this is it's been hot and heavy with everything, and I thank everybody for contributing. And you all know where you can find Harvey on YourWorld on YouTube, and you can find Shawn on Shawn James. Butterfly said I wrote him a long time ago with my ideas. He stole it. Tales from the Hood. My idea was better though. So you had So Butterflies, you saying you wrote Tales from the Hood? Because I know Rusty Cundiff and I can't think of the other brother that's with him, and they're credited for that because they've made the last couple of Tales from the Hood movies. Ideas get stolen all the time, sadly. But yeah, but Tales from the Hood, that was one of my that's one of my favorites. I remember as a kid. Rest in peace, Clarence Williams III. I think you scared a lot of young black men straight. Playing Mr. Sims, aka the Devil, because when I met Clarence Williams III, by the way. I met him. He nice guy. He was filming Memphis Beat. They were, they did a lot of TVs in Louisiana, TV shows and stuff down here to get those tax breaks. But yeah, that was something else. Yeah, when he passed, we wouldn't have, if it weren't for Bill Cosby, we wouldn't have Clarence Williams either. He gave him a recommendation. Yeah.
Well, the Black Stuntmen Association.
Black Stuntmen's Association. Even NBC. NBC was going bankrupt about 2 or 3 times.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's a travesty what CNN has been doing with the history of comedy. They try to pretend like Cosby did not save NBC. They make like it was his friends and Seinfeld and Cheers. Cosby is the reason why NBC exists to this day.
Yeah, I was there in the 80s, and the NBC was dying in 83. I mean, shows like Night Court and Cheers, they were at the bottom of the ratings. If it wasn't for the Cosby Show coming along, NBC wouldn't be here today. I mean, I remember when they were just struggling for content in 81, 82, 83. And the thing that got them over was the Cosby Show. That was the thing that turned that entire network around and turned it into a dominant force and led to it having that dominance. I mean, that was the best decision Brandon Tartikoff ever made, and it laid the whole foundation for the network being able to go on. And for them to turn their back on Bill Cosby like that is egregious, because he practically saved that network from going bankrupt and going completely off the air.
Because people didn't remember, Gary Coleman was the biggest star NBC had at that point.
Yeah, I remember back then. Different Strokes was their top show.
Yeah, on Saturdays. Yep. Okay. Then you had Facts Life and Give Me a Break. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then Fame. And I think that was it. Night Court and was like the AIDS version of Married with Children, because it got so raunchy, and they stick it on Thursday night.
I remember.
That show was on the brink of cancellation, but then they put it on Thursday nights and it survived.
It survived because of the Cosby Show, because it was the lead in.
Same thing with Cheers.
Cosby was the lead in, then with Family Ties, and I think
it was Cheers, and then it was Night Court.
Night Court was my show as a kid. My dad loved that. We watched it all the time, and the Dan Fielding character was played wonderfully by John Larroquette. Bull, which was Richard Mole. He's I remember Marshall Warfield. Yeah, Marshall Warfield even was talking stuff about Cosby after he got convicted. And Marsha got her career started because of Paul Mooney and Richard Pryor. She was on a Richard Pryor show. Robin Williams got started because of Richard Pryor. They tried to say Gary Marshall carried him. No, it was
Richard Pryor, because I got to take the few episodes. He was on the NBC because they abruptly canceled because they said he was an unknown factor, because Richard Pryor would go off script. Because I still say the funniest skit he did with Chevy Chase, the word association game, and he was like nigger. He said dead honky.
But how it started off when he said tar baby, and Richard pauses and said, "What'd you say? Tar baby?" And he said, "Oh, faith, color, redneck, and spear chucker, white trash," and it just that was.
He was high doing that.
Oh, they were all high. That was Saturday Night Live. But you know who wrote that, huh?
Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney wrote it. Yeah, Mooney was Mooney wrote the Travel with Pryor all the time, and Cosby saved NBC. I remember as a kid. I remember Alf. I remember Night Court. I remember Empty Nest. I remember a whole bunch of shows. Even after that, if you go to the other networks like ABC had Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, uh,
Who's the boss?
hanging, hanging with Mr. Cooper. Yeah, but the Cosby Show saved all of those shows on NBC. Like Cheers was struggling at one point. Uh, Cheers was struggling. I think Family Ties was struggling.
Yeah, they were always struggling. I remember looking at the ratings back then.
The only good show they had, I wasn't even born then, but the A-Team wasn't.
Everybody crashed the car but never got hurt.
Yeah. Nobody ever got hurt. And I know you in the military, Harvey's like, yeah, this ain't realistic, but
you know, I look at it now because when you're 8 years old, that's like highbrow entertainment. You know, Riptide, 18, Airwolf, Blue Thunder, Automan, all those shows. You know, when you're a kid, you think they're spectacular. When you're watching as a 40-year-old man, like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah. I remember Saturday Night Main Event wrestling. Saturday nights as a kid. I can remember that, watching that stuff. That was great. I remember when Fox came along and they had A Living Color, New York Undercover, Living Single, Martin.
Yeah.
So they had a show about sitcoms, and Martin is on there. I never watched it, but I saw Jason Black was calling it garbage or whatever, or he was trashing it with seeing how CNN was talking about black TV shows. But you know, yeah, man, I remember stuff like that. It brings me back. I remember my favorite horror show. One of my favorite horror shows I remember as a kid. I remember when Freddy Krueger had a TV show.
Oh, Freddy's Nightmares. Yeah.
I watched that all the time.
Monsters was another one. There was
Monsters.
It's on. Yeah.
Or Friday the 13th. It
wasn't in that. That was just Friday the 13th. That was just.
So they had a weekly show, Friday in syndication, Friday the 13th.
Right, I remember that. But I remember the Monsters when they came back on syndication. But
the Monsters.
But I remember
today. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. The Monsters today. Yeah, but my show, I remember Give Me a Break. That was on NBC. But my show was Tales from the Crypt. Or HBO. I'll never forget. I think the earliest episode. Two of the episodes I can remember, and it's freaked me out, especially being a kid, was the one where they had the killer Santa Claus. Yeah, that would traumatize a 4-year-old. And but the first one I remember was Don Rickles, the Crypt Keeper. That's right, Boss Queen. He was the Crypt Keeper. Don Rickles' character. It was called The Ventriloquist Dummy. Richard Donner directed it, who just died. And Don Rickles played a comedian, a ventriloquist who y'all can go look at it if you haven't seen it.
I remember that episode. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bobcat Goldthwait, and when he took Morty off his hand. Morty's my twin brother, and his twin brother's on his hand. Here's Morty.
Do you remember? I'm Michelle might remember the Tales of the Crypt episode where Christopher Reeve was on there. He was a diner. He owned a diner, and they was chopping up. They was selling human beings as meatloaf and burgers. And
I remember that episode.
Meatloaf was the first on the menu.
Yeah, and Christopher Reeve didn't know. He found out where they was making the meat from. And he went in the basement and he said, "Oh, it tastes like chicken." I will never forget. That creeped me out for Superman to be a cannibal. And the Tales of, I would never forget that episode.
Well, he was actually the good guy in it, and he lived in the story.
And at the end, yeah, he started chewing, eating that piece of chicken like tastes like chicken, something to that effect.
He said, yes, we're gonna be rich.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever saw Christopher Reeve not in a Superman type role. I mean, he did Street Smart with Morgan Freeman, but that was the first time, I guess, because it was jarring to see him do that type of role that he was basically going to say, "I'm cool with selling human flesh as meat," you know. So, but I don't know, man. We could do this forever because don't even get me started on Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh yeah, we'll get.
Give me a bowl of Captain Crunch. I was cool for the whole day.
Lucky Charms watched. I remember the Karate Kid cartoon that didn't last long. Alf had a cartoon on NBC. That was a lot.
Watch all those.
Yeah, I was a Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, and the Muppet Babies, and all of that, man. But Batman, the Batman animated series, that was.
I know me and Sean, I remember back when they were showing Spider-Man and Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
What's the Hero High with superpower of Shazam?
Yeah, I remember all those.
Yeah, when Filmation had their version of Batman and Robin on CBS, and Hanna-Barbera had their version on ABC. I think that's one probably missing for these kids today. Their imagination. We had the ability to be children. Monday through Friday, you came home from school, some sort of cartoon or like shows like Double Dare or Full House, those type of shows.
I remember shows like that. Yeah.
Now they watch adult programming. It's aging them. So when they get in their 20s, they want to relive a childhood they never had. So it's what they call arrested development. So that's I think that's some of our issues in our community. But maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's good to nostalgia. Wonder Woman, ISIS.
Oh yeah, Wonder Woman. She was when I realized that I like girls.
Yeah. You talking about Vicky Small Wonder? I remember Punky Brewster, the original Punky Brewster, but now they've got the agenda in that.
Oh man, they messed my crush up from Cherry, man.
Yeah,
man, that messed me up. I had a crush on Sherry, and they say the reboot, she's now a lesbian. I'm like, oh, come on, man.
She wasn't a lesbian on the show. She had a crush on Andy Gibb and
in the barge, where the episode The Barge.
Yeah, the Punky had a crush on the barge.
Yeah, they all of them because the grandmother kept saying.
Yeah, I remember when. Yeah, man, don't make stuff like that no more. But they need to bring stuff like that back. But that happened as a result of a law that came in the 90s. Congress passed a law in 1990, an act that required children to have continued educational programs back on. So what happened with that bill is that one by one, a lot of the cartoon shows that you saw after a while started to get canceled. And as a result of it, they start putting on these things now, because now you got, remember when they started out with Dudley Moore had a show where he played a character called Spin, where they would do like it was almost like National Geographic, something along like the lines like that. But now they got Jack Hanna, and they have all these wildlife and shows and all of this other crap. I wouldn't watch as a kid even anyway, because you know what, you're mandating something on somebody's home. Guess what? Kids can turn the TV off. That was an option and play Nintendo. That's what I did when it was past 12 o'clock when Beekman's World went off. I remember Beekman. I remember Bill Nye, the science guy. He used to come on Sundays. I remember the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
they used to come on early Sunday mornings. And one of my favorite Three Stooges episodes is when the Stooges play bellman, and Larry takes. They were trying to get this woman's attention. So when they get on the elevator, Larry beats everybody, beats Mo, and Mo races up the stairs, is breathing hard, and Larry is talking to the woman. He says, "Don't worry, lady, my other boy will be back with your bag in any minute." And Mo hears it. And when Larry goes to bend down to pick up a quarter, Mo closes the door on his head and starts banging him. Your boy, eh?
You know, it's amazing that we watch the Three Stooges. Now as adults, we know the tricks. But I'm surprised as kids, we didn't go blind poking each other eyes out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, watching the Little Rascals, Three Stooges, the Brady Bunch, all those type of shows. I mean, today, when you tell a kid those shows like, what? And you realize how old you are. Like, okay, never mind. We grew up watching Voltron and Spectre Man and Robotech and stuff like that. You know, Tranzor Z. And I'm going to tell you, Tranzor Z can never get made there. I don't know if you know or remember, but Sean might. Remember the robot with the missiles for the breasts?
No, they couldn't do that today.
They couldn't do that today. I don't know how they got away with that in children's program in the 80s. Because even as a kid, I thought it was weird.
Well, maybe they can, because they got John Ditterman, who uses his penis as a weapon. That's over in Europe.
Yeah.
So, you know what? They very well could. Although it may, but it would only apply to certain people, obviously, certain agendas that they want to push. So
today it might pass today, considering what's going on.
yeah. Well, anyway, gentlemen, Abbott and Costello, yeah, I remember this stuff. Laurel and Hardy. I didn't watch Laurel and Hardy too much, but Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Yeah, that's the classic. Shawn James, John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose. It's one of his books. His latest he has includes Revenge of the Cyber Goddess and John Haynes Taking Care of Business. And of course, you guys know Brother Harvey from YourWorld. Y'all please donate to subscribe to him if you haven't, although I'm sure most of you have. We've been in this thing for 3 hours. I was expecting we keep it to 1 hour and 30, but we just talk about stuff. You see how things come together. I did, and I guess I'm gonna do a video on it about Dr. Dre's daughter, because there's some misinformation, I think, about that. A lot of people don't know in regards to Dr. Dre and his daughter. And it's not defending Dre, because, they try to bring up, I saw this when they came out with the Straight Outta Compton movie. They tried to bring up his domestic violence past, and it had nothing to do with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that they do. But, that's their business between daughter and father. But we understand how Hollywood works. But, gentlemen, do y'all have any final words?
No, I don't have anything else to say.
Neither did. Well, I would say this. I enjoyed my time with you, gentlemen. I mean, we got to do this again.
Yes, we definitely have to.
Oh, Sean's video on right now. After he's gonna watch it after this wraps up. Okay, yeah. Legends of the Hidden Temple. When I take a critical examination of these charges, I must say they are completely ridiculous. That's how Sean talks.
Yeah.
Could you, Sean? Is it okay if you could please just one time do the British accent?
You mean the British accent that I do for the royal family videos?
Yes.
You need to get some voice work, Sean.
I'm trying to get some, Harvey. I put myself out there. I just made a video letting everybody know I'm available for voice work, and if anybody needs me to do that type of job, I'm available, and we can discuss race.
Yeah, I got it. Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, finish.
I was about to say I need to get back in, because I just do the cartoon voices. I do them every now and then. I've been out of practice, but right now voice work is in demand because of the COVID and everything. So you never know. You might get somebody out there watching and might put your name out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'll put it everywhere. So just waiting for somebody to give me a call.
Well, here's hoping.
Well,
yeah, same here. By the way, Jay-Z, what do you think of Rihanna becoming a billionaire?
Oh, wow. Now I need to give her a call. Yeah, jiggle. Yeah, she's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Beyonce, who? Oh, whoa.
Well, your boy Steve Harvey, I'm only a $250 million, baby. 250 mil, that's worth it. And my wife ain't getting nothing from my ass.
You know what? People are going to think we've been on drugs right now.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, to have you come on and be. I thank you all for joining me, and we'll do this again. I would ask everybody still to subscribe to their channels if you have not. YourWorld and Shawn James, those are the channels. And also thank you for your donations as well. Shout out to the Gantz. Shout out to Esmont. I'm trying to name a few people. Forgive me if I forget anybody. It's my head, not my heart. DeAndre Mosley, yeah. Star, all y'all, I want to thank y'all again. And it's not too late if you still want to contribute to the channel. Black Mama, I know she's around here too. She does stuff too. She contributes often. But yeah, Rosalind, I remember Jaleel White on Sonic. Yeah, I remember that. What's up, Bloodsport? Bloodsport's got to be new. Bloodsport came on earlier today. I was watching it. The John Clark.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Watch, they're gonna remake that.
I think they would. Now it's two different Blood Sports. You got the comic book version. that Vin Diesel did, if I'm not mistaken, and Jason David Frank, who played one of the Power Rangers, was doing a movie before. So
I'm talking about the original Bloods. I'm talking about Blood
oh, you
Sport.
talking John Clot when he did the split? Yeah, okay, I got you.
Oh, say it. Say it. Well, team, and the referee's like, I like Time Cop too. Yeah, I saw Tyson fight Spinks. Yeah, Van Damme. Yeah, I remember Seagal. Even though he couldn't act, I like all in movies. He was breaking all of them arms. When they spoofed him on Mad TV, that was funny. Where they had Will Sasso do the Steven Seagal episodes. That was kicking. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, guys, family, thank y'all for tuning in. Shawn, Harvey, thank y'all again. I appreciate it. And
all right. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for having me on as well.
Thank you. And guys, this has been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel GBoo2786 on YouTube, as well as my backup channel, Gavin Richard and Gavin Rich 2786. If you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, the link is at the bottom. If you would like to advertise, you can email me for rates. I'm also available for voiceover work as well, if anyone's interested to. Don't limit myself. I'm a Renaissance man. So, but you guys look me up. Yeah, this was fun. Alpha Justice, Keith David from Gargoyles. Yeah, I remember that. Darkwing Duck. I remember Keith David being his breakout role was The Thing when he played Childs. That's a classic film if you haven't seen that. Sutton, that was a good Van Damme movie when he fought the penguin. But all right, guys, thank y'all. But in the meantime, please go to my website, check out the seasoning, nonescreoblends.com. Also, I would ask if you would please also check out my song, Get On Up, which of course we always get on out of here with. You can download that on iTunes, Spotify, and Apple. All right, I'll holla. Peace, everyone. Thank y'all, brothers.
Thank you.
Let's feel the groove and get on the floor, family. It's time to get on up.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we're going. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what's to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the full chorus. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Baby, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up. Baby,
feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Yeah. What that boy said about my hair, I didn't have no damn sponge, all right? Your ass had a sponge. Your ass had no hair. Now I ain't got no hair. Yeah.